Awesome.
It always says you are live, but I'm just kind of wanting to wait for it to kind of pop up and
We
stuff like that.
are live. Yeah, my first live stream I ever did, I actually did all right. My second one, I don't know what I did, but I fucked something up because I set up the thumbnail and you could set up the thumbnail, schedule it beforehand. And when I went to stream, it streamed a completely new thing. It didn't stream to that thumbnail, and I was like, What? I did everything like I did the first time, and this didn't happen.
Right?
It was weird, but I've got
Yeah.
somebody who's going to help me before I go do another live stream. Make sure I actually understand what it is that I'm doing.
Hmm. Well, yeah, that is definitely odd. But anyway, yes, no, we are definitely live now. So yeah, what I kind of wanted to do this. So the last the last stream that I did was kind of on this, and was on this topic, and I just I didn't like it. So I'm a massive perfectionist, as in I will go back and I will listen to every single video that I have ever done, every debate, every like everything that I have ever done, and I'll like I'm my own worst critic.
Yeah.
Like you can come up with, oh, you could have done this, you could have said this a little bit better, you could have done that. Not even close to how
I'm the
I'm
same
gonna.
way.
Yeah, like anyway. So yeah, no, I just really didn't like it. That and my laptop crashed twice during it.
Oh
So let's just
shit.
hope that that doesn't happen this time.
What kind of laptop
So
do you have? Just out of curiosity.
well, my laptop basically like it broke. Let's just say that through silliness and through some circumstances that it just broke and it's no longer with us. So I had to get like this dirt cheap, like I'm pretty sure it was like a refurbished one and stuff like that, and it's just but yeah, I'm in the middle of I had college work. I would have saved up and would have gotten like a different or better one or whatever, but
Hmm.
it was whatever. So yeah, that's probably why it crashed, just because it's not that great. So yeah. Um, I see that Keela is in there, and yeah. So when I was on my break in work, by the way, I've literally just finished work, as in I took off I'm still wearing my work pants. So I got home, I had a smoke, and then came up here basically, and that's been my entire evening so far. But
You mean to tell me the Irish don't have like their own special term for like a cigarette, like the Canadians do? They call them darts. You go out and smoke a dart. That's depressing. I would have
I
figured
mean,
you guys would have had your own
it,
term for
I
that.
mean, it's the same. I mean, I guess so. It's the same as the English one. We call them fags, but
Okay,
you
okay,
know,
yeah.
you kind of you hear that
Saying
all the
out,
time.
going out
Okay,
and have a
so
fag. It doesn't when you
basic.
have
No, well,
Americans.
okay. So in England and in Ireland, if you say that you're going to smoke a fag, that means that you're going to have a cigarette. If you say that in the States, that means that you're going to kill a gay person. So not really. It doesn't translate the best.
Yeah, yeah.
Essentially. So yeah. So is it, yeah, where was I? Oh yeah, that was my evening so far. So yeah, um I just wasn't happy with it, and so yeah, I just kind of decided very kind of last minute that I was just going to do a different stream. But so yeah, that's kind of where we are right now. Math Pig's in the chat, Jeff is in the chat,
Jeffy.
yeah, there's a lot of people in the chat. I'm going to here. Look, I'll just paste it now. I've just posted a link to the room down in the chat. So if anybody wants to jump in, just click the link and we'll add you in. It's pretty much kind of like an open room type of a discussion sort of a thing. So yeah, we'll just kind of take it from there. And I wanted like as many like different opinions and different viewpoints as we possibly can. So Jeff has just added. So how you doing, good? Um, yeah. So as I said, I had just kind of done this, and I just wanted to kind of do just like a much better job the second
Yep.
time round. So this time round. Oh yes, yes. Sorry, that's where I was. So I'm still in work mode. My mind is like still like like just erratic.
What do you
But
do for work, if I may ask?
um,
Again, I'm just curious.
I well, so I work in like a fast food type place right
Okay.
now, but that's just kind of what I'm going through college. I hope to
Yeah.
be there's a lot of things that I can do out of my degree, but I hope to either be a special needs assistant or a therapist out of my degree. So that's
Oh,
the
special needs would be so fucking cool.
yeah, they're the two places that I've done my work placement in. I've done them in primary school that
Hmm.
tend to kids with special needs, and I mean,
So
they're
you
good.
have experience doing that, working
Mhm.
with. Okay,
Yeah,
awesome, awesome.
it's tough, but fuck, man, like when you're like
It's
when you go
rewarding.
and then you kind of do the whole process, and then you're leaving, and you're kind of seeing even in that short like period of time, like how much they have progressed and stuff like that, man. It's so fucking rewarding. It's so
Mhm.
rewarding. Um, so yes, that's what I was going to say to you. Um, I saw like a little clip, like what, like 15, 20 minutes of you on Keela's stream. That was when I was in my break in work, but obviously I only have a half an hour, so I couldn't, stick around or join in or
Yep.
anything else like that. So yeah, there was a good conversation there from
Yeah,
like what I
that was
saw
a
anyway.
blast.
So, anyway, before this video that is now 6 minutes long starts to become a little bit clickbaity, we're going to start talking about the storm on the Capitol, because right now it's just being just kind of, just general silliness. Um,
There is one thing I think we should mention that should have been done
sure,
two,
go ahead.
if not 4 years ago, and that is that Twitter finally permanently suspended Donald Trump's personal account at real Donald Trump.
Yeah, yeah, it's well, look,
Apple
I mean,
also came down on Parlor as well and pretty much said, yeah, you
mm,
guys need to like make your platform more restrictive instead of just like being a breeding ground for hate groups, or you're done. I don't know why Apple, I don't know what the connection between Parlor and Apple is, or if they're
mhm.
just saying like we're not going to feature you on no Mac OS, iOS, or something like that. I don't know what, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I had heard Keela mentioning Parlor a few times, and I'm kind of unfamiliar with it. Like, I mean, like it's a, I mean, it's a website, but I mean, like I don't know, is it kind of like a breeding ground of like alt right type of like content or talking points and that sort of crack? Or
Hmm. Yeah, Parlor is.
you're muted, Jeff.
Yeah, I'll let Jeff go. He's been sitting quiet. We still can't hear you.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I still can't hear you.
Are you
I haven't got you muted here.
I was gonna say I don't know. Might also check your volume, your mic volume in StreamYards. I know sometimes that, especially if you've been in Praise's room recently, and Gavin's gotten a hold of you. I would be talking while he's figuring this out, but I want Jeff to be able to explain this Parlor thing since he's been sitting quiet. He'll probably do a better job.
Am I coming through now?
Yes.
Okay.
There's
Yeah.
a little bit of an echo. It's not like really, really bad. It's subtle, but I
Let me
can
turn.
I
Let me
pick
turn
it
it
up.
down. Let me turn it down to about 50. How's that? Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
I hope that got rid of the echo. I'm not sure if it did. Yeah, it was
So
zeroed out.
far,
I
did
forgot.
anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, the last time I was on, I was in hostile territory, getting muted a lot.
You were on Praise's stream, weren't you?
And I got booted. Um,
Yeah.
Kind of embarrassingly too. He
By Praise or
sent me
Gavin?
back. I don't know. I can't. I couldn't tell. Praise was laughing about it, so I don't know if he pulled the trigger or not. It doesn't matter. No, like Gab was like kind of I think was one of the first attempts to create like a right wing kind of Twitter alternative. I don't think that it went anywhere. I don't know if it's still around, but Parler seems to be doing slightly better, which is kind of weird because I do talk to some people who are on the right fringe kind of thing of certain political ideologies, and they don't like parlors. So I'm not exactly sure who's gathering there. If it's just sort of like Trump fans, it seems to be.
Yeah.
Mark Levin who's been a mainstay in right-wing political nutbaggery for 20 years at least, minimum. Actually, probably more like 40 now. He he canceled his Twitter account in protest because of Twitter's
Yep.
fascism. Their fascism. So in solidarity with Trump, he's going to go Twitter. He's going to be Twitterless, and he told everybody to join him, meet him over at Parlor and Rumble. Now, the interesting thing about this is Lynn Wood, who is kind of notorious for being one of these instigating trolls, peddling all these falsehoods and stuff, had a pretty decent following on Parlor, but I don't know if it's a he or a she. Their following on Parlor was basically just like screenshots of their Twitter takes copied over to Parlor.
Wow.
So, and Lynn Wood has been canceled out too. Like that person's no longer.
Yeah, they're not on Twitter either. Who was I gonna? Why am I drawing a blank?
Jeff is saying that you're a little bit low, which I mean, I can definitely hear that you're an awful lot lower than Leo, just for example. But
I need to turn my audio down probably a little bit. Let me drop this.
No,
down.
it's not even that. I'd say that like your audio is kind of okay. It's just that that Jeff's is definitely a little bit.
Well, I think if Jeff turns his back up and then hits that echo cancellation thing, that might get rid of the echo.
Yeah.
I remember turning that off for. How do I sound now?
Yeah, great.
Yeah, definitely good.
There's still a bit of an echo, but it's not like so bad. It's tolerable. It's not that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how's that?
Oh, it's much better.
You sound good.
Okay.
And it appears the echo is gone. Awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
I remember. I think that gets shut off if you get kicked out. The way I got kicked out of StreamYard last time, but also I think I had it turned off last time because of I was trying to do something with StreamYard and Discord at the same time, and it was getting messed up.
That's a tiny cup you got there, Jeff.
Yeah, it's my little it's a stainless steel whiskey cup.
Oh, so you're probably just sipping whiskey out of it?
Yep.
Scotch, maybe?
No, it's actually Canadian rye. So.
Oh, interesting. Why am I drawing a blank on this person's name? I want to say it's like Eric, and then something ends with a P. That's like a big, younger, white nationalist, neo-Nazi. Eric Pridner, something like that is on Parlor. I know.
You're talking about Eric Prince?
I don't know. I don't think that's who. Who the fuck am I thinking of? Who am I thinking of? I can't think of it off the top of my head. But the Proud Boys guy, Nick Fuentes, I do believe is on there. A lot of people from like Proud Boys, QAnon are there naturally.
Gavin McInnes went there too because he was sort of one of the founders of the Proud Boys. He got fired from whatever that Red Media or whatever that was up in Canada because he kept exposing himself. Ran afoul of Canadian censorship laws. Would frequently pull his genitals out while he was. I think he was doing a radio show of all things where they have a video feed, just in case they want to do podcasts or something like that. And he just a couple of times pulled his junk out while he was trying to make an intellectual point. No doubt. The guy's a piece of shit.
As you do.
Yeah, you do that. Like, so here's how the Constitution works. Zip.
Just slap it right on.
I win. Like, yeah, that's small. So you don't.
Yep. Okay, that's more information than I thought I was going to get tonight. I'm not going to lie to you.
Well,
do I have to sign the document with my tallywhacker? Because I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I'm not dipping it in ink or
no,
slap it on the ink pad and then nice print on the paper.
And when you say dip it in ink, what exactly do you mean? Like, what am I putting that in?
Yeah, exactly. Oh shit! I was gonna say something and it just escaped my mind.
You said you wanted my John Hancock, but I didn't think you meant that literally. I mean,
oh god. So
that was terrible.
Let's. I think Stephen should segue us into the official subject of the night.
Yeah, Stephen, I saw your last one, so I'm kind of interested to hear that you're kind of critical of it. What did you want to hit first this time?
Well. Yeah, so I just wasn't very happy with like both the quality of the stream and then some of the information that I kind of give out. Like it's not as if that like it wasn't like complete or that it wasn't like accurate or anything. It was just I don't know. I just felt like I could have just done a better job. So
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so just to kind of start over from the beginning, obviously, everybody knows by now that the Capitol building was stormed by. I'm not. Okay, so I have a few house rules. If anybody wants to see me get triggered as like faster than almost anything else, just call them protesters, because that's absolutely not what they were.
Yeah.
They were terrorists.
Insurrectionists, seditionists.
Any of those types of terms you can use, they're all acceptable, just not protesters. So yeah, it's like, yeah, obviously they stormed the Capitol.
Sorry, I was gonna make a just crass joke, as an American. How dare you, as an Irishman, tell me how to define what a real American is, huh, Stephen? How
There's
dare you?
Esther.
Sorry.
Welcome, Esther.
Yeah, Esther, you're muted. Oh, there you go.
Hi.
Hi.
How's it going?
Pretty good. How's it going for you guys?
Oh, not too shabby. Just another day
Yep.
here in good old U.S. of A.
Yeah.
We almost actually turned into Kekistan during the week, but we avoided that, so that was good.
That's good. I guess so.
That's
Yeah.
Google Kekistan if you need to. It's a rabbit hole into right wing 4chan political ideology that you probably don't want to get into. But today was the first like big news Friday that I can remember in like the last 4 years that included mostly news stories that I liked. So that's a plus.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that it was like one of the most deadly days for COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Keela asked, "How about demonstrators?" I mean, it has the word demon in it, so I'll accept it.
It is tolerable.
Yeah, it's acceptable. It's acceptable.
Stephen can derive the appropriate amount of hysteria out of that. Yes, demons.
But oh god, we have Mr. Parker in the stream as well.
Oh shit! Everybody, get your hammers and your sickles out. The communist is here.
Now, Keela. I like
No. They literally replaced the American flag with the Trump 2020 flag. And I want to read you guys something here really quick. And this is verbatim. This is for U.S. Code Section 7, position and manner of display, subsection C, quote, "No person shall display the flag of the United Nations or any other national or international flag equal, above, or in a position of superior prominence or honor to, or in place of the flag of the United States at any place within the United States or any territory or possession thereof," end quote. But go off about how taking a knee is disrespecting the flag. Fucking hypocrites.
Yeah. So look,
Crafty wants to see triggered, so I think Steven should light and smoke a cigarette really shakily.
I actually I would normally smoke in my room, like especially if I'm doing like a stream or something like that, but I have to have my window open, and it is -4 degrees Celsius here, so that's just not happening. It will be like an icebox in here in a matter of minutes. So yeah, no, that's unfortunately, although I probably would, there's a good chance that I will need to at some point during this stream, I will not be smoking tonight. But anyway, yeah, so where the fuck was I? What was we talking? Oh, yes. Nope, she's gone. Yeah. I know that Crafty wants to. Yeah, look, Keela, I know that you want to see triggered, but calling them patriots. It's just, I know that. Okay, I like you, and I know that you're messing with me, and I know that you're trying to get a rise, and that's the only reason why I'm not going to fucking give it to you. So there we go.
Smart. That's thinking with your dipstick.
So, yeah, it's just, well, look, seeing as it was, raised, seeing as that word was kind of brought up, we've seen. Oh, okay,
Hello, I'm a
Midnight
friend
I'll go
of
to
Leo and Jeff and
Yeah,
Parker.
Midnight's cool. He's He can come in. He can come in, even if only for a little bit.
I mean, it's on your stream, Leo.
It is now. Welcome to the Leo stream featuring Steve and Ryan.
Now Steven's triggered.
Oh, shit.
I mean, yeah.
So
How
yeah,
you
so
doing?
that word was kind of brought up, right? The whole patriot thing, and they have been called patriots by some of the kind of more online right. You could, some of the names we all kind of know of them, or we can all kind of rattle them off. Who are they? Fucking Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens, live tweeted. I guess I don't know. She tweeted as it was happening. You had Tommy Lahern, who, by the way, her tweet aged very fucking well. Didn't it?
Yes, I love that.
What did she tweet?
She tweeted, "This is somewhat verbatim, although I've seen it recently, so maybe it'll be kind of more to like quoting her." She basically said that if Donald Trump wins, and then in brackets, he won't. That like they'll go out to work as they normally would, and they won't be like rioting or looting in the streets. And look, they were.
They weren't just rioting or looting in the streets. They were rioting and attempting to coup the government, literally at the capital of the United States.
So they were, so it was like those types of people, and then of course you had, oh my god, I can't believe how small his face is, Charlie Kirk. You had him as well. You had so you had all of these people who were calling them like them patriots and all this sort of stuff. And look, it may be cynical, right? It might be cynical, but I personally do think, right, if we could just take a moment just to be serious, I do personally think that if you go to an event such as this dressed as all of the village people, then I think that you should be called a patriot. I can only imagine that we all know who I'm referencing there, right?
Yeah, I'm assuming the QAnon shaman.
I don't know. I'm guessing so. He was wearing a
guy-
pelt of some description, and he had his
Yeah,
face painted
with
American
the-
flag.
Yeah,
Him. That's
Yeah.
pretty much what I'm referencing there.
he's been dubbed the QAnon shaman, and I'm just like, oh, that's just brilliant.
That is kind of brilliant.
Jake Angeli. That's his name.
Oh,
He's from the. I'm pretty sure he's from Arizona, but he's participated in like kind of anti-Antifa or counter BLM protests at Phoenix.
Well, anti-Antifa is just pro-fascist. I mean, the antis cancel out. It's just pro-fascism, straightforward.
Right. Yeah. It's like subtracting a negative number. Right. Yeah, you're right.
If you're against the people who are against fascism, then I mean, yeah, it's
You're
literally
for fascism. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, essentially.
It's not that I'm pro-fascism. It's just that I make a lot of money off of them. We're fellow travelers. I mean, you're pro-fascist.
Yep.
So, yeah, like they've been called patriots by all of these, and it's those same people. It's those same people who would, who called Kaepernick I don't know, a traitor to his country or something like that, because
Or a son of a bitch or whatever.
Yeah, or any of these sorts of things.
Entitled. Nigger, because there were some people that called him that. I've got African and American in me, so Stephen, you're safe.
No, that's fine.
This is a tweet from John Maddox.
I think I know what you did.
Oh, please don't do that. Please don't.
No.
Like, do it, but just...
Is that from Laughable, Punchable, Pitiable?
Yeah.
Yep.
This isn't going to be good.
No, that's not. I've debated him 3 times, so...
And by debated, was that you like pinching the bridge of your nose and listening to him say random shit? Yeah.
And then every time that I asked him a question, he would say that I was dodging, and then proceed to not answer the question.
You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me. Go ahead, Midnight.
Okay, I just want to say, can I just say that I love Maddox? Hold on, it's because he never gives up, right? He's tenacious, right?
It's true.
I'm right. I am
He's
right.
very
Okay.
determined.
But he was doing what Steven said, and it reminds me of, and I'm sure there's some people in here that are gonna know it. Maybe everybody will. The episode of South Park, the giant douche versus turd sandwich, where I think he asks turd sandwich a question, and turd sandwich goes, if you were to ask my opponent this question, he would not answer. In fact, he would refuse to answer. And I bet that he would just stand up here and ramble on incessantly until he was saved by the and then the buzzer goes off. That's John Maddox. He's like, you'll ask my question. Well, you see, by asking that question, you're dodging the question that I asked you. So I'm just going to keep pointing out how you're dodging the question every time you ask me a question.
So here's the tweet I put in the private chat. I'm sure you've all read it.
Yeah.
But the audience doesn't see this is the trash. I'm sorry, but that doesn't qualify as a riot, in my honest opinion. Literally nothing got set on fire. People were telling other people not to break stuff, and it was pretty much wrapped up by 5 p.m.
So if nothing is actually combusted, and if everyone leaves before happy hour, in time for happy hour, it's a perfectly reasonable amount of bedlam and mayhem. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
But I mean, like, even on the face of it, okay, where, like, to the best of my knowledge, I don't actually think that anything was literally set on fire, but there was a lot of shit broken.
Broken windows, laptops were stolen, mail was stolen. Let's see, they showed up with zip tie cuffs, literally trying to take fucking hostages. They literally violently plowed past the already woefully underprepared Capitol Police, but nevertheless they plowed past them, trampled over the gates, literally broke into the U.S. Capitol building, but nothing got set on fire, so we're in the clear.
But I mean, the thing about it is that, like, they weren't literally just holding the doors to the Capitol building open and saying, "Come on in." They had to break in. So of course, something was broken. But look, I mean, it's my own fault, really. Expecting any sort of logic from John Maddox. That's you'd be waiting an awful long time.
It's interesting. Kayla was saying something about there are emerging plans for rounds 2 and 3 on the 17th and the 20th, because she corrected that. So I can see why the 20th would be significant, and that's when I expected something more dramatic to happen. Yeah. I was surprised that the 6th.
Well, I had heard there's going to be a heavy National Guard presence until after the inauguration in Washington, D.C.
What's the significance of the 17th? Does anybody know?
Who knows?
I don't know. But there's pictures of them like scaling, the wall, and there's also pictures of them having like a freaking trolley system on the Capitol to get people up to windows, up higher levels to break into the windows. Mm-hmm. It was weird, and it's very strange. And what's the mayor's name? Mayor Bowser or something? Like, she called in the National Guard like 3 times. But it was like denied until like the 3rd time.
Yeah, because the Capitol Police called for the National Guard after this had broken out, and the Pentagon rejected it. And then the mayor called like twice, and both times got rejected. And then the 3rd time, like 3 hours into it, they were like, "Yeah, all right, sure."
I think it's funny the amount of stuff that showed up from like where a lot. I mean, because you can tell, it's like these are good blue collar people, because most of their revolutionary equipment they got from Lowe's or Home Depot, and they just trucked it in there, including some of these ladders and stuff. Like, some of that stuff still had tags on it. It was hilarious. Like, you stopped at the big box hardware store before you went to take over the Capitol. Mm-hmm. Good on you. No, uniquely American.
I just want to obviously hi to Brainbug, but your comment in the private chat, obviously again the audience can't see this. You said it's because they had so many boomers. Yeah, they had so many boomers. They had tired themselves out. That's why they
had to be escorted down the stairs. Like, well, come on, Nana. We'll get you down, and we'll get you some prune juice and send you off to bed.
I wonder about this though, because one of the things that comes up, when they bring up like the body count, you never really hear about this, but with 5 people dead, with this thing. 3 of them died of natural causes. So they got a little too much excitement on and then
One of them changed himself in the ball.
Wait, hold on. Wasn't it 4?
but yeah, they poisoned themselves with their own poison dart or something. Natural causes.
I have a question. Wasn't it 4?
No, I think it was 5.
Yeah, I think
I think
5
changed.
I heard
5 total, including the cop. The cop that
So
got
there
hit.
was a cop that got hit.
Ah.
Yeah.
How'd the cop die?
I can't.
He was struck in the head at least once with a fire extinguisher.
Oh,
So I don't know if he died because of head trauma, like internal bleeding, or what the issue is. But I think he'd gotten kind of like partially trampled too. Like I don't know if people were
yeah.
beating on him, or he just ended up like wherever he ended up landing happened to be where a bunch of overexcited yahoos ended up, kind of just like stepping on him. USA. Yeah. It's nothing really makes that chant work. Like when you accidentally put a cop in a coma.
You know what? I'm surprised they weren't chanting as they were plowing in. Lock her up! Lock her up! Since that seems to be the only thing they ever fucking chant.
Yeah,
Build
Ben.
the wall. They can't build the wall.
Well,
What do you mean? They climbed it. They climbed the walled Capitol.
That's the most
Ironic.
hypocritical and very ironic thing is that they're the ones who have been saying for the last 4 years that walls work when they obviously fucking don't because you scaled them. So
And these were solid walls that were pretty fucking tall. Let's be honest here.
yeah, and look, I'll just on the subject of chance. This is just like a minor, just kind of segue. I'm so happy that I have been the only one for the last 4 years of anybody that is on this panel that has been able to truthfully say the statement, "Not my president." I just want to flex that little bit.
Well, the thing is, we're one Scaramucci away from Biden being president. If anybody gets that joke.
Oh yeah.
Fine, I figured Jeff.
I did want to say something. I've been shouting this from the rooftop since that Q shaman guy showed up on the scene. That so the tattoo he's got on his ribs, the Celtic knot tree. That's the Celtic tree of life. My ex-wife was like new agey and stuff, so I know all these symbols and everything. And that's the Celtic tree of life. It represents balance and harmony.
Not so much for Jack Angeli. No.
I thought that was so ironic.
Did you notice that like the way it's built, the way it's drawn on him? There are 2 kind of crescents where the branches stop. That's where they begin, and where the body of the tree, sort of like traps out. There's no more branches anymore, and it's almost like 2 crescents on the side. There's a circle that kind of rings it, and that one hole is exactly over his nipple. It is the trashiest looking. I mean, and there's a lot of trashy tree of life tattoos in the United States, but that one is that might be the trashiest, except for that one that was like it was made out of with pastel colors, and it was on the back of like a 380-pound woman.
Yeah,
people at Walmart. So
yeah, and I feel like that's like the kind of people who did this, like just like the same disgusting people from some small town in Louisiana that fucking decided, hey, let's turn the Capitol into a Walmart for like an hour and a half.
Well, I thought it was funny listening to people react to it, because like when we were watching it live, Dave, Critical Cripple, he had his live stream going, so we were watching it, and or we're watching, there were people like reacting like, who are these people? And it didn't seem all that unusual to me because, the state that I'm from, it's just like, this looks like the Capitol protest that we had just like, last year, when they were like, how dare the government tell us that we have to stay indoors and wear masks when we go out and stuff. They showed up with AR-15s on their chest and spit in their beards, like freaking out. Like, yeah, it looked like a small Midwestern town had, over lots of them had just been like, it was like the worst crowd from a Kid Rock concert was just dumped in front of the Capitol.
Or a Ted Nugent concert.
You know what it was? And I think that this would be good content from one of you guys to put out would be to cut people coming out of the stadium after their football team won, and then cut clips of them people they're parading out of the Capitol building and compare the way that the people are acting. The ones that their football team just won, and then the ones that their
president just lost.
Yeah.
You know what I thought it would be interesting to do is to intercut parts where the protesters are getting into the Capitol or they successfully break through a window with shots of fans reacting at a WWE, like WrestleMania or something,
Wow.
Because some of the facial expressions are really similar.
That one old lady that's standing there like, Like she's like, it's like, are you lost? Do you need help? Do you know where you're at and why you're here? Anybody know what picture I'm talking about?
To one guy's credit, I thought this was interesting. There was footage that I saw. I think it was on like New York Times, and this one particular, like, kind of sawed off, like really scruffy looking kind of Karen, and she's standing there and she's just really amped up. I don't know, she's like extra Red Bull or something, and they're already cops starting to form because they're getting ready to try to get them to push out, and she's just losing it. She's just going Braveheart on them. And one younger guy grabs her, and at some point, like, the camera moves around at one point, but it finds her and this younger guy, and she's still just going off, and he's just like, yeah, shut up, shut up, shut up. He's getting her out of there, like, before she gets herself shot. So, and I think that was right after the woman had gotten shot, upstairs. So,
have you guys heard of the news about Trump getting banned on Twitter?
Yep.
Yeah.
Permanently. Yeah.
Oh, he's going to Parlor. What do you want to bet he goes to Parlor?
Yeah, sorry, I accidentally refreshed.
No, you're all right, man. You're all right.
Do any of you guys have a Parlor account? We could do a whole stream just
I
looking
ain't
at
giving my social security away.
looking at the crazy crap on Parlor. You could do a whole stream just reviewing that shit.
I want to. I feel like the closest I get to Parlor is when PMAR shows up on one of my hangouts.
Oh, God.
That's
wow.
enough. That's enough porn bombing for one, just from one person. So I imagine that Parlor is just like, Internet Thunderdome.
Wait, who's Parlor?
Parlor is like kind of like, it's supposed to be like a free speech version of
It's
Twitter.
Nazi Twitter. Literally, it's Nazi Twitter.
Yeah.
Doesn't it look more like Reddit? I've seen people talking about it and showing screenshots from it. It looks like Reddit to me.
It is like a really whiter version than Reddit.
Yeah.
Like, define, what do you mean when you say whiter? Like the people that use it? Because that's,
it's more racist.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah.
There's like no moderation, I think, is their thing. It's a free speech. They're like a liberty.
And the thing with conservatives is that they all think that they're being targeted. Well, you're suppressing my free speech. It's that we're not. It's just that your side, like you people that are, that's left. Well, for me, it's you people on that side of the political aisle over there that nobody wants to really associate. Like, we're all looking at you like, as you're over there screaming USA and slamming beers and stuttering them and everything, and we're just like, yeah. The problem is that nothing that ever comes out of any of your fucking mouths is even anything remotely close to possibly, potentially even passing as factual. So you consistently get fact checked and corrected and shut down, blocked, banned, suspended, shadow banned, because you're just pushing straightforwardly destructive, dangerous, vitriolic conspiracy theories and misinformation and disinformation, and nobody wants to hear that. And so you think that you're being censored, which you are. It's just that the shit you say is really, really bad and nobody wants to hear it.
Sorry.
I've got
on your phone.
Background.
I've got a question for Steven, actually.
Sorry, get one.
Well, actually, I got two questions. One, I was wondering, do you know much about Act 230, the one that Trump was trying to repeal?
No, not that much.
So it's kind of this weird idea. The idea behind it was Act 230 was put in place, and it's something that Trump's been railing against. I don't know enough about the minutia of it, but the idea behind it was it provides a lot of these social media companies with certain legal protections against liability for users doing something horrible. So if it turns out that, surprise, Twitter's got 50 white nationalists or 50 KKK members openly doing this kind of stuff, yeah, they can remove them or whatever, but they're not responsible for the content that they do, and they're not legally liable for it. Trump kept insisting that he wanted that removed. In fact, that actually came up with the stimulus bill. McConnell had kind of maneuvered him into this idea that here's what Trump wants. Trump wants $2,000 checks to every citizen. He wants a repeal of Act 230, and he wants some kind of board form to look into voting errors in the 2020 election. Right? Obviously, Democrats weren't going to go for it. Now, it's interesting to me. It's like, if you repeal 230, that's going to make, if once that's repealed, it makes companies like Facebook and Twitter legally liable for things like inciting riots or spreading fraud. And so I think it's hilarious now that they're essentially treating Trump and some of his like right-wing cronies and allies as if they got their wish.
I think, I mean, I wouldn't mind corporations being legally held accountable for what people say on their platforms.
To me, that yes, but there's got to like if it's happening consistently by the same accounts and those accounts are not being actively checked and silenced and having those posts deleted, then yes, I would say that they should be held liable because that's their prerogative to remove that. But if they are actively removing it, then I don't think that they should be held liable for it.
Now, my opinion on it is, like if it was a national media thing, you know, if it was like the PBS version of Twitter or Facebook, then yeah, it should probably come with a more universal application of the First Amendment. But in this case, they're private companies. But what I thought was really ironic about this entire situation was they already have this kind of. They could basically have told people like, well, hey, the president is currently saying some dangerous shit, and we just had this raid of the Capitol. Aren't you going to kick him off? And they could be like, no, we're not really liable for it. But that's not what they did. What they did, they actually, in a way, they punished the president by kind of giving him what he wanted. Because one of the things that he wanted was that, you know, I want to be able to hold you liable for the stuff that you do and say, for the stuff that users do and say on there. And like, okay, well, we'll act as if.
Okay, bye, Trump.
You're gone. Yeah, you're done. You're a liability.
Nobody said he was the smartest man on earth.
He's not by any stretch of the imagination.
So, do you all think that we'll see Trump again in 2024?
I think the Republicans are going to do their utmost to flush him down a memory hole, especially given what's happened to Lindsey Graham. Like, Graham doesn't have that much power, but he does have a lot of friends and he has a decent amount of influence. But the fact that they're really in a tough bind because essentially they're at a point where only the institutionalists survive. Like McConnell's in a really good position, even though they technically lost control of the Senate. In terms of like any kind of potential internal power struggle that might have been going on in the Republican Party, McConnell's like the last bulwark. So if he's going to like defend conservative values for the Republicans, it's all up to him. So he becomes the
McConnell, the Senate Minority Leader. Let's always give him that title right now because he's
right.
But
Senate minority bitch.
As far as like you know, capital. As far as I know, like any kind of commission appointments and things like that. That stuff just needs a simple majority, or like Supreme Court nominations. But things like budget bills and stuff like that, those still need, you know, over 60 votes. So he can still gum up the works quite a bit. Yeah. So he's going to make a lot of hay out of that.
He can still say, well, we'll give you the votes, but you've got to give us this and this and this. He still has some sway, definitely.
But Graham they have video of Graham being harassed by these MAGA horde types that are yelling at him, calling him a traitor and all this kind of stuff. That dude's thin skin. Like he can carry an act for a long time. But he's
South Carolina, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he is.
South?
Yeah, he's South Carolina.
South Carolina.
So I kind of wonder how he's going to react to that group. And they have a big problem. The reason that Trump had that kind of turnout, Republicans don't usually get that kind of turnout. And the reason that Trump did is because he excited that particular base. Now that this has happened, they might actually roll back and be in worse shape than before Trump. They might see, well, whoever they end up picking for 2024, because I doubt they're going to want Trump in there. He's going to have to he's going to need basically the charisma of like Hulk Hogan in order to like, you know, whip them up. Otherwise, they're just not going to show up. Like if they had Trump and then they turn out and they're expected to go and vote for President Tom Cotton, not going to happen.
Maybe they'll nominate James Woods.
that could work. That guy's crazy.
Yeah.
Like what he says though. You look at his Twitter. It's more active than Trump's. With people responding. Well, people hate him too. So yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, the whole kind of thing about, like, are we going to see Trump again in 2024? Like, I genuinely don't know. I mean, there's a good, solid, like, high 20s to 30% of the country who kind of just follow him no matter what. And they're, like, diehard followers of Trump. It doesn't matter, kind of, like, he could literally do the thing that he famously said, that he could go on to, was it Fifth Avenue and shoot someone and he wouldn't lose a single voter. It's kind of like, it's depressing awful to say. There's an element of truth in that.
Will he leave and live for till 2024? Because that dude is not healthy. He's old and eats like McDonald's as his like McDonald's and KFC and stuff like that as his main source.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, if Twitter like unsuspends his account, I mean, he's literally just going to be non-stop tweeting for the next 4 years. Like, there's no possible way is he not going to be doing that.
Well, he even said it during the rally.
But as Keela has just said, that is the importance of him being impeached. He can't run for public office again. And his impeachment has already been called for again by Ilhan Omar. So, but look, I mean, it's not to be too kind of pessimistic about it, but I mean, it kind of is going to go up against the same kind of challenges and the same hardship as the last impeachment attempt did, which is that it has to get through the Senate. Now, the only other point about that is that the previous impeachment attempt, what was it, like a year, 18 months ago? Trump's on the way out. Like, he's leaving the office in a few weeks. There's a good chance now that some of the Republicans who, you know, like had to be kind of sycophantic towards him and had to kind of, you know, publicly fondle his balls, are gonna kind of just fuck him over now. And it's just like, you know what, you're on the way out anyway, and you've kind of like you've made a mockery of the party that I'm a part of. So
he is rich enough that he's not going to see any jail time, though. He may pay out and pay out and pay out, but he's never going to see the inside of his prison.
Yeah. That's too much of a precedent.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, even at the state level, I mean, I think most of the states would end up going after financial.
They can ruin him. Maybe. Probably. They probably can. Not as international stuff, maybe, but.
The sad thing is, though, is that if he ends up, you know, if he really isn't as much debt as he was in, and he was running a pretty good game, the whole narrative of the stop the steal and all that kind of crap. I mean, people pumped a bunch of money into his, you know, the Trump campaign or whatever. So he was up to like 180 million or something in that thing.
Yeah, I was going to say,
what will happen with his international holdings? Can they go after those?
In some cases, it depends on. Yeah, it depends on how they originate, and most of that stuff is like at state level. So
yeah,
it's a little bit weird. And his debt, he could probably, like, if he's got enough money, and at this point it sounds like he can kind of juggle his liabilities until he's dead and then just leave it up to his kids. So I think the thing to watch actually is going to be what his kids do, because I have a feeling that the three trumpets there are probably going to try to get into media stuff. I mean, Ivanka, you can kind of tell from the very beginning, even during the 2016 campaign and earlier, she's trying to like remake herself into some kind of like, you know, White House Oprah kind of thing.
The only thing that's going to happen to her is just memes, like just constant memes, just about her. It's just not going to be good for her.
I think she thinks that between her and her husband that they're clever enough that they can grab the world by the tail, but I really don't think they are, because I'm pretty sure that guy's got like lead poisoning or something, or did.
Is she smart though, or is she just?
I really don't think Ivanka is smart. I don't think that she's. I don't think she's stupid, but I don't think she's.
The one comedian, that worked, Noel Castler, that he's like, yeah, she's kind of shrewd, but she's not really a long-term thinker, and because of her upbringing and stuff, she tends to be very superficial, and she's kind of short-sighted. So, and you can kind of see that with like her ambitions and stuff. She wants to be liked, she wants to be respected. She tries to like, you know, walk this like thin line where she's sort of like everything to everyone. That's hard to do when, you know, your dad's this like McDonald's Hitler, you know.
McDonald's.
But yes, I mean, she's trying. I don't think it's going to be interesting to see like what the backlash is, because I kind of wonder like if the MAGA horde have turned on some of the Republicans that have been really loyal to Trump up until the point where they can't violate the Constitution and give him a second term, and now they're like, how dare you? I kind of wonder how they're going to treat his kids, especially as his kids try to get jobs in media, which is where they're going.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, there was a genuine question that kind of came up a few weeks ago, kind of, you know, like as the election was kind of like pretty much called. I think at the time we were still waiting on the Electoral College to like make it official. But there was some talks, there was some conversations, and I'm pretty kind of interested to kind of hear you guys' opinion on it. There was some talks of Trump making Trump TV and like doing his own version of like Fox News or One American News Network or like any of those sorts of things. Like, do you think that's going to happen? Or
It wouldn't surprise me.
How long until it devolves into just freaking conspiracy channel? I mean, not that it's not starting as conspiracy channel, but
And the thing is,
30 seconds after premiere.
he's going to have a lot of trouble if they were to do something like that. I do think that they would have some difficulty getting at least more of the major, not networks, maybe networks, but other not internet service providers, but like telecommunications companies, like AT&T, which owns DirecTV, to even air that stuff just because of who it is. And as we've seen this week, what his words and the words of those that are most closely associated with him, the weight that they carry, and being able to incite literal violence.
I think if they've demonstrated that not only are they short-sighted, but they're opportunistic, and they're also incredibly lazy, especially Trump. And like, people don't seem to understand that like Trump had 14 years of being backed up by NBC to do that bullshit show. And that gave him the imprimatur of being something of a successful businessman, even though that was all bullshit.
Yeah.
All the producers knew that. Everyone in NBC knew that.
he started believing his own hype, though.
Yeah, and he started believing that, and so you can kind of see why, because it kind of resuscitated this D-list celebrity into something kind of almost respectable, because there were a few seasons where they had really high ratings, and then the more people were exposed to him and his shenanigans, even when they were distilled and purified and just kind of kept in check, people only got like the teleprompter version of him. Ratings just dropped off. Nobody gave a shit. No one gave a shit until he kind of resurrected himself in 2012 and he started going off on the birther stuff. And then NBC went at him. There were calls to impeach him, or, to remove him and all this kind of stuff. I think he stayed on for another season after that, and then he was gone. And then he ended up spiraling that into his political ambitions because he just doubled down on this stuff because it got him a bunch of attention on social media. And that's when he not only doubled, he tripled down into that stuff. He got into Twitter, he got into Facebook, started spreading into that. The problem with that kind of stuff is outside of the fringe, he's never been able to like gain any kind of mainstream appeal. He's only been able to gain that base appeal. And that was predicated on the fact that he wasn't a failure. Now he's a failure. And so if they try to stick him in front of, like, he's not going to have the wherewithal or the means, I think, to come out and start Trump Media. He's going to try to start that by, bankrolling off of like OWN or Newsmax. So he and his kids will try to get in there as like advisors or something like that. They'll try to worm their way into that. They put that guy on there to talk about anything political. He's going to bore the shit out of any of those people, right? He can only repeat the most conspiratorial stuff that comes out. When he's not president, he can't add fire to it. All he can do is just repeat it. It doesn't mean anything. He's a former president.
Yeah.
So nobody has to give a shit. So he's actually just going to exhaust himself. So by 2024, I have a feeling that he will do his best to overexpose himself. Whether he'll be able to or not is going to be up to whoever's willing to put up with him and host him. But I think even his fans will start to lose faith in him at that point. And his kids don't have the charisma to actually go anywhere, because it's the strangest fucking thing that all three of them together actually managed to become less charismatic than one of them alone.
Yeah.
Weirdest fucking thing.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, I don't know. Ivanka sort of looks like a blow-up model. There's one of them who kind of, I don't know, vaguely looks like Trump, and then there's the one who looks like he's on the spectrum. We both know the one I'm talking about.
Gary Busey's kid.
It's yeah. It's kind of like I don't know. I just don't think that they have the same sort of.
Do you think Gary Busey gave birth to him? Trump. Sorry.
I mean, yes, they do kind of, they get the kind of spots on Fox News and they get the this and that and the other thing, but that's just because they're the president's kids.
Yeah.
I don't really kind of think that like many people kind of give a fuck about what they have to say, but people eat everything that Trump says up, as if it's literal, and I think the weird say no wrong, as if he can say no lie or no non-truth or whatever,
Yeah, I think he's attracted to that kind of, the hyperbole of that,
fringe, and the fact that he repeats it and just burp it right back up at people, they see it and they just sort of respond. Like, I mean, it's really kind of interesting. If you if any of you haven't, if you can stomach it, watch his speech before part of the protesters walked to the Capitol. It was like a greatest hits of all the bullshit that he's been saying for the last 4.5, 5 years. And at one point he says something and he just says, there's just this explosion of bullshit. And the whole crowd just goes bananas. They just, that's like, it's like he's rallying troops for war. As soon as he drops one profanity, and I'm like, okay, so I'm thinking like the emotional maturity of this particular crowd is not very high when, this fat ass in a suit can drop a swear word. And that's
not even really a harsh one, just bullshit.
Not a harsh one, and he's not even making a point. He just says something slightly naughty, and they're like, "He's our man." He's telling it like it is. Like, is he? Like, I respected what was it? Dick Cheney, when Dick Cheney called somebody a fucking asshole. They almost censored him. He called somebody a fucking asshole. I'm like, yeah, at least he insulted somebody. There was a point to that. Trump is rambling about nothing. He's like, and then there's all this bullshit. I'm like, all this bullshit? You mean the votes that didn't go to you? That's basically what he's talking about. Like, where'd all these ballots come from? This is all this bullshit. Like, oh yeah, because people voted for Biden, and this was predicted. Okay.
Well, I'm curious to see, just because the reason that he's had the success with the popularity is because he's been president. He's the president. Let's bring him on, because the networks know they're going to get ratings because it's fucking Trump. They're going to get ratings. After when we found out that he had really lost the election, you could see in the Republican Party and Fox News and some other networks that they really were starting to distance themselves from him. They didn't really want to be a part of that anymore. And I'm curious to see how irrelevant Trump is going to become as this year continues on, because I really think that he's going to become irrelevant. I think his base is not necessarily going to stop supporting him, but I think they're just going to start to go silent. This is why we saw on Wednesday. If they know they lost, there's going to be a spike in their vocalization, how vocal they are about everything. And then as Biden gets inaugurated and the process continues, it's just going to start to stave off and wane. They're just going to start going into silence and crawling back underneath their rocks.
Do you think any of them have the possibility of becoming kind of like a firebrand, like at the very fringe?
Like one of Trump or his kids?
Yeah. I don't think Ivanka's got it in her because she doesn't really
like an Alex Jones, almost.
Yeah, or like
if it would be anybody, it would be Trump Jr. I think, honestly, I think he's the only one that could pull it off.
Do you think you could take him in a debate?
Me?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
I don't know, man. He does a lot of cocaine.
That's true. That's true.
You never know where those cokeheads
we know that he has a history of doing cocaine before public speaking as well. So, he'll just get on there and say, like,
he'll go full cocaine. I'll just go full spurg. I'll just go straight full spurg on his ass. Like straight up. It'll just like I'm talking, just trolling left and right. Oh my god, that would be so much fun.
It was a point that was kind of brought up that I like the right and the media in general is kind of starting to distance itself from Trump, but I think it's literally just because they can now, because he's lost, and because he's going to kind of fade into obscurity.
Nothing. Yeah, obscurity, good word.
And it's just like, I don't know, like, I think that he's going to kind of retain that massive support that he has with his base. Like, he's almost never going to lose that. I mean, like, you have some of them even now after Trump spent an hour on the phone to a Georgia governor asking him to commit election fraud and then blackmailing him because he said no, and they're still fucking defending him. They're still saying no, like, he's still the greatest president in history and all this bullshit, and it's just, they don't care.
None of these people support Trump because he's a good person, or he's honest, or he's successful, or that he's any of these things. They support him because he hates the same black and brown people they do. So it doesn't matter what he says. All the terrible shit that he says, they know it's terrible. They don't give a shit. They agree with it.
but it's like it's kind of what I was saying earlier about the whole kind of like these like uncomfortable truth of the statement that if Trump shot somebody on Fifth Avenue, that he wouldn't lose like support. But I mean, like he can do this. He can ask for some of the most illegal shit that you've ever heard of, and he's still not going to lose any fucking supporters. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
But
If he shot somebody, they just blame it on Antifa. So
well, yeah, probably. But like I know that Trump has done this before, and I know it's not just Trump that has done this before either, but the fact that on Wednesday, when he did the video that he put out to Twitter, that I don't know, after a few minutes you couldn't retweet it, you couldn't comment, you couldn't like it, because Twitter like put him in like the most harshest form of Twitter jail until they actually suspended him.
You're talking about a secession speech? That's basically what it was.
kind of was, yeah.
Yeah, kind of, where he kind of just said, you know, that like this is happening and you know, you need to go home and you need to leave peacefully and all this sort of stuff. But
You're special and we love you. That
Yeah,
was
but
my favorite part. Like,
why I said that it was a dog whistle is because, I mean, he's saying, yes, that like, you know, you need to do this peacefully and we're the party of law and order. You're fucking not. But anyway, you know that this is who we are. You know, but they did steal the election, so I know why you're mad. But you know, we need to go home now because this is getting. But you need to be peaceful. But they did steal the election, so
it's kind of it was sort of weird. It was like that, like, you know, you're well past, you know, final call at the bar. You know, someone's really offended you. You know, and you're just like, yeah, no, you should just let it go. I mean, yes, he called your mother a whore, but no, let it go. Just live and let live. Sure. Maybe your mother is a whore. I mean, maybe you should think about that. Like, God damn it, are you trying to calm me down or wind me up? What the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah, nobody knows.
I thought it was interesting that they I think one network edited it down, like some of the like prologue to it. But yeah, it's hard.
ABC, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah, because I think ABC, when they played it live without any kind of editing.
Now that we're speaking of networks, I got to give CBS some props because one lady, so they had a reporter there that was at the Capitol after everything would kind of wind down, and there were still some people there, but they were all outside of the Capitol. They were all being peaceful. They were kind of like, you know, dispersing slowly, very slowly. And the anchor, the female anchor at the studio was like, and I just want to be clear that this was for the most part, you know, mainly white males here today. And the one guy's just like, yeah, for the most part. And I was just like, yes, call out the fucking problem. Thank you. You're still corporate media, and I still don't like you, but at least you made a ballsy like some of these media were actually pretty ballsy about being like, yeah, these are terrorists, these are insurrectionists, this is a bunch of little bitch boy white males with really, really small dicks who can't get over the fact that their orange god lost.
Yeah, I think somebody had brought it up because they were trying to say something about that. You know, they were doing kind of the equivocation thing with what happened on the 6th and then what happened in some of the BLM protests and stuff. And it's like, well, hang on now. Usually with the BLM protests, you know, people that, you know, they went and got permits and they went and protested in certain designated areas, right? Mm-hmm. Now, oftentimes they'd be met, even
peaceful, but yeah,
and the majority of the time they were, and even in the ones where they were arranged to be there, they'd still be met with a law enforcement presence just in case things spiraled out of control. Yeah. In this particular case, though, people are like, well, I don't see how this is any different. It's like, well, it depends. So they're at a rally being hosted by the president, where he basically feeds them the same horse shit that they've been mainlining on social media for the last, you know, since the election and even before, when he was saying, if I win, this is fraud, or if I lose, it's all fraud. And then this particular day, he's like, yeah, you know, March of the Last is down there, pats him on the head, you know, be nice, wink. Some of them do, and then they just get it in their heads that they're going to, like, you know, mace a couple cops and push past the barriers and break into the place like they own it, which they said they did. You know, that was the one rallying cry that they had. This is our house. This is the people's house. Like, it's where your representatives go. That's sort of metaphoric. Fuck it. But when this happens and people are like comparing like the motives and stuff, it's like these people were motivated by the leader of the free world, the guy that told them, all of them, in 2016, their country was a mess. He was the only one that could clean it up, and that he was going to drain the swamp. 4 years later, he's so great that the country is a mess. He needs to drain the swamp, and the government's so corrupt that it stole an election from him.
Yep.
Go, my flying monkeys! Like, the amount of cognitive dissonance and complete amnesia that you have to maintain over the course of, like, he was your boy for 4 years. He told you he was going to make things better. You believe that these 4 years have been better, with the exception of 2020, which was Pandemicville, and the only thing that made that bad was the Dems trying to pump you full of COVID, microchip you via Bill Gates, and take away your small business.
Evil fascist communist masks.
Yeah. The entire thing just turned into an absolute shit show, and the narrative they've completely lost the plot at least 6 times now.
Yeah.
But at the culmination, at the season finale, it's like, how did this start? Remember, he was your hero. He can fix it. He was the only one that could, and he was going to drain the swamp. At the end of the day, the government's a piece of shit. I can't fix it, but the next 4 years will be worse if I'm not in charge. Go do something for me. Go get noisy over at the Capitol. Because the Republicans are going to try to be heroes, but let's face it, they don't have the same grapes I do. That's what he told them.
Yeah.
And then they went there with the intention of interrupting what is a constitutionally mandated process. So it's like, this is not like when people are like, oh, well, what about BLM? What about, like, fuck that. Antifa first got noticed because some of the more violent ones were throwing like homemade Molotov cocktails at the Berkeley campus, because it was going to host Milo Yiannopoulos.
Mm-hmm.
How does that even compare to storming the fucking Capitol? Like, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, and the thing is that with the Black Lives Matter protests, they were, and I can actually cite data on this, roughly 95% of them were peaceful. The 5% that weren't like extremely violent, but it wasn't the protesters that got violent. The cops generally started, and then the protesters retaliated, which was done on purpose. Not to mention, I'm sure we've all seen the screenshots from fucking 4chan and 8chan and Reddit and Twitter and even places on Discord where the Proud Boys and other people were straight up saying, we're going to go there and we're going to, get noisy so that the protests get violent, so that we can state that these protesters are violent, that they literally staged this stuff. Like, I think it was in Minnesota, wasn't there an off-duty cop that was literally breaking windows or something like that to get everyone riled up? Yeah, like, but this didn't happen at the Capitol. You didn't have that stuff happening. This was just a bunch of actual violent fascist thugs that attempted an insurrection. Well, it was an insurrection, an attempted coup.
Yeah, I don't know if it actually got. I don't know if it would even be smart enough to say that it was a coup, and I don't know what the legal.
It wasn't, but there was a very, 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 very pissed.
It was coup adjacent. Yes, definitely. It was at least that.
People saying that coup has to have military involvement or paramilitary involvement, but I don't know. I have no idea. But that's a definition I've read people saying.
Yeah, it was something that, I mean, we've been all kind of talking about it in work over the last couple of days and stuff like that. And it was something that I kind of said to, like, just kind of in passing. And it was when people are trying to say, that this wasn't a coup because it didn't happen or because it wasn't successful, right? And like that is what some people are saying, or that's at least the case that they're making. But here's the thing. Leo, if me and you are in the same room, right, and if you have a bulletproof vest on and I don't know about it and I shoot you in the chest, I still get done for attempted murder.
Yeah,
it was murder that it wasn't successful. It didn't happen, but I still tried to do it.
Intent was still there. Yes,
intent was still there. The intent for the terrorists who went into the Capitol building, the intent was for them to do a coup. Now, they were unsuccessfully
a coup.
But it's the same thing. It doesn't matter whether you were successful or not. You still tried to do something which is highly illegal.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the one dude had plastic cuffs. They were planning, and you could see the posts on Parlor. They were planning on taking hostages, literally executing politicians, all this stuff. This literally was an attempt at a coup d'etat.
Have any of the bombs or the alleged bombs been confirmed?
Oh yeah, no, they found 2. I don't think they confirmed like who placed them, but obviously they were 3. Yeah, that's right, 3.
They confirmed explosive.
And That's why one step down from a coup is sedition or insurrection, and this falls under both of those. It's also domestic terrorism, and it was an attempted coup. Just like if you don't kill somebody but you intended to, it's not murder, it's attempted murder. If you attempt a coup but you don't actually get one, it's not a coup, but it's an attempted coup. That's what it was. They tried to overthrow the government.
And now,
attempted before any crime, I mean, essentially does just mean that you weren't very good at it. You know, like you have like attempted burglary or you have attempted murder. You know, you try to do it, but you didn't try hard enough. Like that's like I just love that that's like a legal thing. But anyway.
I was going to say, like, in a way, this was like coup, but it was a very 21st century version of it, especially from the American side of things. It was coup by the way of like shipped shopper, you know. So Trump put in his order, like, hey, I'd like you to go over there and maybe overturn the government in my favor, and let's see what happens. And it didn't. Nothing happened. But you know, he's sitting back in the White House watching cable TV, like, shit, they're getting a little bit worked up. Wonder how this is going to turn out. Not good, it turns out. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and and when I first heard this happening, I'm just like, I was just shocked. I'm just like, I was shocked, but I was also not really surprised. And I'm just like, I'm not surprised that the people who scream America first the loudest, the people who scream about democracy and freedom the loudest, and the Constitution the loudest, are currently are actually successfully halting a constitutionally mandated democratic process, and are actually are committing insurrection against a democratic government.
Did you hear about what some of the things they said? Because you know they had some people that were listening in while they broke in. One guy found a Chinese scroll, it was either a man or a woman, in one of the bigger offices or waiting rooms. Tore that off the wall. This is the People House, and we don't want Chinese bullshit up in here. A couple other guys were smoking, and one guy's like, "We can smoke in our house if we want to. This is our house." And one guy was like, "Yeah, I just took a shit in the men's room and I didn't flush." Yeah. They were saying shit like this, right? So I'm like, look, the Grand Canyon also belongs to all of us, but I don't want to see your crazy, like, Randy Quaid Christmas Vacation ass, like, standing out there burping your name into the echo and jerking off while you're upwind to everybody. Like, don't fucking do that shit. You're gonna get, this amazes this kind of behavior, like the level of entitlement, also combined with this like kind of just base laziness. Like, I can be the biggest scumbag I want to be, and you can't do anything about it.
Jerk off at the Grand Canyon.
Not if you're upwind of me. I don't want to catch.
But and that's that, like you said, the right word, the entitlement. I call it white titlement. That's what it is. Like, these people knew that they aren't going to face the same repercussions. I cannot stop thinking about, if this had been mostly black people, how drenched in blood the Capitol Police would have been. They'd still be scrubbing blood off the steps.
Even the media, even the media narrative, right and left, would be really different too. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was also surprised. There was a lot of media outlets and pundits that were saying, imagine if this had been black people.
Yeah.
Because we already saw this when they protested at the Capitol. They had them out there in literal military gear, standing like this on the Capitol steps. It's prepared and everything.
It's interesting to me, though, that, like, there's a YouTuber that I like. He's a lawyer out of New York, and he was kind of reacting to it. And he was like, a lot of the reactions to the Capitol raid were people, a lot of liberals, complaining about racism. And I don't know, he seemed to kind of miss it. Yeah, it was Nate Brody. And I was listening to him, and I like Nate Brody, and I was listening to his point, and I could kind of get it. And I was like, look, dude, I'm like, the reason that people are saying this is basically racist is because you had a bunch of people, you watched the guy get elected president in 2016. He didn't win on some, because he's a fucking businessman, he's going to magically turn the economy around or some bullshit. Like, he got in there because he did a bunch of fear mongering about immigrants and other bullshit. He was gonna stop the kind of shenanigans. You're not gonna have to share the spotlight with any of these other people. So we get him for 4 years. Now he's getting ready to leave. The fantasy's over. Now, for most people with half a brain, it's been over since at least January of 2020. Because while the first 3 years of his first term, he couldn't really do anything. He couldn't really fuck anything up other than reduce regulations and appoint a bunch of fucking crazy Looney Tunes justices. You get to a pandemic, and he's frozen. guy could have turned that into a third term practically, and he fucked that pooch so hard in the ass that he lost what should have been an easy second term.
Yeah.
So yeah,
If the COVID-19 pandemic hadn't have happened, I think Trump probably would have won. I really do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's something that we've all kind of, been saying as well. Me and my co-host Kevin, like when we're just, like when we're talking or if we're hanging out or whatever, just in like our own kind of, personal lives or whatever. Yeah, it's something that we've kind of said as well, is that like if COVID hadn't happened, like there's almost no chance that Biden would have won.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like he can make the case that as with everything that Trump has done in his entire life, he has failed at being the president as well. He's a failed businessman. He bankrupted 6 casinos, which genuinely should be an achievement of some some kind. But
I wonder if he holds the world record in that.
yeah, I mean, like
Stephen Wynn manages to get him to work. I don't know what's wrong with Trump. Like
Trump's just lazy. Like the man is, but the thing is, and I can tell you just from, I'm not wealthy myself. I know people that are not like millionaire rich, but make and have made over $100,000 for themselves for most of their working adult life, who have hung around people who are quite wealthy indeed, who have told me, you can tell an actual successful person who is wealthy because of their success, and the lazy kids who got handed mom and pop's money when they died and have just been doing everything, just been lazy and living off that their whole lives. You can tell the difference. And a lot of extremely wealthy people are not hardworking or exceptionally intelligent or skilled or anything like that. They are people who generally inherited their wealth, and because we have this false narrative, and I do think that it has, I honestly do think it has some ties to racism, mainly because wealthy people used to be almost exclusively white, that if you're super rich, you are extremely gifted and intelligent and skilled and hardworking because that's how you got it. 74% of all wealth in the United States that's held by the top 10%, I believe it is inherited.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me tell you something about Trump. It's not the money that he inherited from his father. It is the business team and the legal team that he inherited from his father. That is what carried him through the 80s and into the 90s until he started trying to use
some money. It wasn't really a lot. It was like 240
there
million.
was money there, but it was that business team that he had underneath him that was able to make that grow, and it did grow all through the 80s. He grew.
Yeah.
It was in the 90s when he crashed. I don't know. Things started going under for him. I think maybe he was stretching things too thin. I haven't looked at
well, the fact that, I mean, the only thing that he was really bankrolling after The Apprentice kind of went down, and even, I mean, he was starting to do it even during The Apprentice, was he's basically just marketing his name. I mean,
his hotels have always done well for wealthy, well-to-do people,
which is interesting
because that he hates so much,
and he doesn't manage them. Like he leases his name to them, and they pay him a cut of that, so that it's a Trump property. But I think only 5 or 6 are under some kind of management company that he himself owns. The rest of them are all kind of independently owned and operated, and they lease that name to be that brand. So,
well, the what he did, the stakes and did the magazine and all that stuff went under, and
Trump University, which was basically $5,000, and you got a couple of binders and I think a DVD or something like that. Yeah,
that was another fucking scam.
Yeah. I mean, he's a grifter, and not a high class one.
Yeah, it got to a point where he would slap his name on stuff and try to sell it. Like, oh, it's Trump. Oh, it must be good.
It was freaky to me when I was listening to people who otherwise were. I mean, there were people that I worked with who were otherwise were fairly kind of, I mean, left at least in terms of politics. But when they were talking about Trump back in 2015, 2016, I remember this one woman that I knew, and she's an African American lady. As far as I know, most of her politics are mostly fairly left wing. But she's talking with a person. She's like, you know what? I don't really care about Trump, dodging taxes or whatever, because if you can get it, you get it. And I was like, okay, but at the scale that we're talking about in terms of operation, what he's getting is at the expense of a lot of other people. That's dangerous thinking. Like
it's not even it's the fact that it's the hypocrisy, because then he goes when he gets into office, he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to, do this and that and cut taxes for you, you middle class people, and all he ends up cutting taxes for is for the big corporations, making rich people richer. And yeah,
I still think
Like,
that there is some truth to the statement that
70% of the benefits of Trump's tax bill went to the top 1%.
no, it was
Like,
83%.
83%. Sorry, yeah. And then that like over a 10-year period, that like somebody who was like, lower middle class, will say, was like going to see a tax increase.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
but there was something that I just wanted to kind of say there. I know it's going to be kind of backpedaling a little bit because as I put into the private chat, I was in the little boys' room there for a little while. And just as I went back into the room, I could hear, now I know there's a little bit of a delay on the stream, but I heard Leo saying that if any of the people that were going into the Capitol building were of, let's just say, not the Caucasian persuasion, that they would still be cleaning the blood off the floor. And but this is it's the biggest point for me. It's just. I mean, yes, you're completely correct and everything, but it's the stark contradiction between how the Black Lives Matter protests were kind of seen and received and everything else, and how they were dealt with. The fact that there was rubber bullets that were sent off, the fact that like innocent civilians were fucking tear gassed, the fact that there was literal fucking terror in the streets over people protesting to have their civil rights upheld, and calling for an end of
police brutality. Yeah.
It's just like the fact that like when they went in there, that there was some police that were taking selfies with the people that were breaking into the fucking building. Like, do like, are we under any sort of impression that this would have happened if they weren't white? And I genuinely don't think a single person would. And this is the point that I'm trying to make. Like, it so clearly identifies the racism that is like buried deep and is the cause of most of the rot in the United States. It's just so unbelievably obvious, and yet people are still turning a fucking blind eye to it. People are still saying, "Oh no, that like this isn't actually what was like going on," or this and that, the other thing. It's just. I don't know. There is just almost no words for how blindingly obvious it was, and for how the level of the contrast between how this was received by the police and by the security that was there versus a BLM protest. Now I know that some of those were there to try and like fend off the counter protests. I understand that there was an element of that there, but like. It's so weird that for a protest for police brutality or against police brutality, trying to call to an end to it, that we got more examples, more up-to-date examples of police brutality at a protest to try and stop police brutality.
Yeah.
And
the worst part is all the mayors of the cities doing nothing about it, saying, "Oh, well, we'll just paint Black Lives Matter on one of the roads." That's what you guys want, isn't it? We'll paint Black Lives Matter on one of those. The people in the House of Representatives. Here, let us put on some African-looking clothes and take a knee. That's what you guys want, right? Like, you don't want legislation. You want us to engage in our our performative virtue signaling, right? Yeah. Okay, got it.
Let's name a bunch of roads after Martin Luther King. That'll everybody down.
Yeah.
Smooth everything over. Yeah.
It looks like Google has pulled Parlor from the Play Store. Looks like Apple's going to.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. And there's a new article out from the New York Post. I don't know how accurate this is because it's the Post, but usually the Post is kind of like rah Trump. Rioters left feces, urine in hallways and offices during mobbing of U.S. Capitol building.
I have heard that. Yeah.
They were spreading it around.
I mean, I genuinely wouldn't be surprised if they were, because I mean,
dude, they're Trump supporters. I'm sorry, Trumpists.
Yeah.
These are I call them suburbanite hoodlums, like people from suburbia that just have no fucking understanding of what decency actually is.
This is a quote. The vile vandals, I kind of like the almost alliteration there, apparently took dumps in bathrooms and then spread around their poop, a Schumer insider said. Quote, it came from the bathroom and they tracked it around. The source said there was an intentional effort to degrade the Capitol building. Yuck.
No respect for democracy, but
Also,
I love freedom.
COVID is spread in feces, so that's not cool too.
Is this not proof of evolution from lesser primates? I mean, you take over enemy territory, you spread your feces around.
Yeah.
You know, usually I'm the one to start talking about the low sloping forehead or the, the slackened jaw.
The kind of like expected response, but it's the only question that I have in my head. How did they spread it around? I mean, like, did they? I don't know. Did they bring like like that's like no, no. Like I feel personally violated when I see somebody picking up the shit that their dog has just taken. Like that's awful. That's genuinely like it's just. Oh God!
And I love it how they called it their house, and I'm just like, wait, you would shit and smear it all over your own house? What? No, I wouldn't. You fucking disgusting.
I don't want to go to your house.
Yeah, remind me never to come over to the to a barbecue you have at your house there in the suburbs.
What's that one movie? I can't. It's one of the few rom-coms that I actually remember kind of liking, but it's with Hugh Jackman and Meg Ryan. And he's from the past. There's a point where he has to he like gets sucked into the future, into present day or whatever. Kate and Leopold, I think is the name. Leopold and Kate, something like that. And anyway, he has to walk her dog at one point. He's walking her, and it's in New York City. And the dog takes a dump, and he's just standing there. And then he goes to leave, and someone was like, "What? You're just going to leave that there?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "You have to pick that up." And he's like, "I'm not going to handle a canine bowel movement with my hands. I'm just not going to do that." I was like, "Yeah, good for him." But you're also in a city. Clean that shit up. Yeah, but yeah, if they were doing that, I mean that ticks me off. I mean, because they were tracking coronavirus outbreaks with sewage samples. So if these assholes were, in some cases, literally gaping assholes, were blowing brown all over the place, that's fucking nasty. They're gonna have to send in like a Men in Black tier decon squad to like clean that place before the next Senate.
Big tent over it, big plastic tent, and send hazmat people in there.
You know what I love?
That's not the biohazard symbol, is it? No, that's radioactive. Yeah, we're just
yeah, it's radioactive. Let's get the Geiger counter in here. But at least thus far, maybe there has been, and I just haven't seen it. But from what I have seen, the only person serving in the United States Congress that has called for the support of the lower level janitors and the people who are ordering and delivering the food and everything to the Capitol, saying that we need to support these guys. They're working hard to clean this up and get everything looking fine, is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, because she's been a waitress and she knows what that's like. That's called class solidarity. And I love it when people attack her as being, well, she's just some dumb fucking waitress. And I'm like, wait, but isn't that what you want? To drain the swamp and put just ordinary people in charge of ordinary people? That
she's brilliant.
She is.
I'll say that. I like listening to her speeches and stuff. They're
so do I. Very well educated, very well spoken, and very driven.
And by all chance, a great mixologist, right? By any reports that I've heard, she's done a couple. Who was that? Was it Darrison Marrow? Am I getting the other guy's name right? They got like a podcast, like a late show.
I don't know.
I think they did. I think they had her on as a guest just before like the lockdown started happening. And they went to a bar in Brooklyn. They might have gone to the last bar that she worked at in Brooklyn, and she was making them drinks and stuff. So.
I mean, just to go from somebody that literally nobody knows about, just waitressing, trying to make ends meet, to being easily one of the most well-known people serving in our government, or whose name is one of the most immediately recognizable in a matter of 2 years, or just a year, is insane.
Definitely one of the most powerful voices on the left. Anyway, we don't have much of a left here at all. I mean, I keep telling people that because they're all like, "Oh, we didn't get our guy." I'm like, you know what? I didn't get my guy either. My guys never make it out of the gate. So
Exactly.
the DNC net is yet to support anybody who has my more left leaning.
Exactly. I genuinely wish that Biden and his administration were what Trumpists think they are. I would love it. I would absolutely love it. And this is the thing, is that they're calling Biden, socialist, Marxist, communist, all this stuff in his administration. But they said that Bernie can't win because they're going to call him all these names that they call anybody who runs on a fucking Democratic ticket. It's insane.
I saw a tweet, or I think it was a parlor thing that called Pence a commie.
Commie is just a term for anybody who's not like a paleo conservative white nationalist.
Everything I don't like is communism.
Exactly.
It's going to come down to, I mean, when Rudy Giuliani followed up Trump's speech at the rally before they marched over to the Capitol and suggested trial by combat.
Yes, literally.
Election. So I was like, okay, so at what point does this political movement, let's say in America,
Biden would win. I'm sorry, Biden would win that fight.
I just, you can join a state level Democratic or GOP party. You can become a member of the DSA. Membership's not that expensive. I'm not sorry, Stephen, I'm not trying to peddle anything here on your channel. But I'm wondering if an America First party begins, you get jumped in more like a gang. Like they hand you a club and they tell you to go beat a leftist to death with it or something.
Wouldn't surprise me.
When does that roll over into a call for violence? If he's saying trial by combat, now go march on the Capitol, how is that saying?
Yeah, and they're trying to say, well, it wasn't Trump's fault. It's not like he wasn't really inciting, was he? He was like, he said to go fight, and then Giuliani's up there giving them visions of Braveheart to dance in their heads, and they're like, oh, here we go. Some of these people literally painted half their face with blue paint. It's not like it's not like the Scottish stuff, but it kind of looks like it's just the blue part of the American flag. Like, okay, what do you think that these these idiots are going to do? Like, you're pretty much ushering in the era of Thunderdome here. And a lot of those ding-dongs don't know any better, and clearly they didn't if their goal was to get into the Capitol building after fucking with some cops, calling them traitors, and then pooping on the walls because liberty. Like,
I was going to tell you, Jeff, in order to join the America First Party, you have to collect 4 Antifa scalps.
And you have to poop on the wall of a government building.
Yes, right, and then you have to poop on the wall of a government building. That's how you get promoted once you're already in.
You get a cluster if you manage to if the poop is some kind of explosive diarrhea.
Yeah.
Special commendation. Junior corporals in their ranks after the raid on the Capitol building.
I don't know if you guys have seen it, but there's some video of the guys that were climbing the one wall. And there's this, I think it's a guy. It's hard to tell, but they're wearing a day pack. They're climbing up, and they miss a hand grip and slip and fall. And they fall. It doesn't seem that far, but they hit when they land part of one of the overturned barricade walls, and it kind of tiddlywinks it up into the. And I was like, pretty sure that person had to go to the hospital. So
broken ribs.
Yeah, there's nothing like recovering in the hospital knowing that you're also pending an arrest.
Well, that's what happens when you try to climb walls,
Yeah.
Fucking.
What would be interesting is to compare that. You cut that shot and his failure with that image that they have of those guys that they challenged to climb the newly constructed wall.
And they were just sitting on the top,
And they just scaled it like spider monkeys, got up on the top, And I was like, okay, so here's why you should, so maybe the Trumpers have a point here. We're not going to win because we're lazy and can't climb stuff anymore. Yeah. We have weak upper body strength and terrible grip strength.
Do you guys know who the quartering is?
Yes. He claims to be a leftist, but supports nothing that's leftist.
He deactivated his Twitter account.
Tim Pool.
Who is it?
Tim Pool.
Yeah,
Tim Pool.
Yeah.
Dude, his discussion he had with Vosh was just.
It was glorious, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%.
Did any of you guys see his any of the reviews of his live coverage of the raid on the Capitol.
Didn't
No.
you know, like,
A couple of people I follow actually did like a review of it. He was so like hyped and excited about it. It was
Wow. I'm not surprised though. It's fucking Tim Pool, man.
no.
Fucking Tim Pool.
I've heard that name dropped a lot. I don't think I've actually ever watched one of his discussions or debates.
I've only watched when Vosh went on. I watched that. I watched a little bit of when Destiny went on. I think Destiny did very, very well too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to Keela's point there, I mean, look at like obviously, yes, there has to be some kind of consequences, but I mean, like, there is hundreds of videos of like all of those types of things that were captured by so many different people that were like either there that were outside watching people going in, or people who were taking videos when they were actually inside building. I mean, like the vast majority of these people have their faces on camera. So I mean, like,
Because they don't wear masks. Fucking
yeah.
mooks.
Because I mean, so yeah, so if you're talking about, like wanting some form of consequences, which I think that we all do, we all want them to face some, I mean, literally all you would have to do is to take all of the videos, do the whole FBI facial recognition tech thingy, go to where they are and fucking arrest them. And I hope to fuck that happens. I don't care if every single prison in the United States is completely overridden, is packed to the fucking rafters. I don't give a shit. That like there's something has to be fucking done about it. Like you cannot just storm into a fucking government building, break untold amounts of fucking laws, attempts to fucking kidnap people. They set off tear gas in the fucking Capitol building. So it's just how nothing.
You forgot about the feces again, man.
I haven't. I actually just reminded Craig.
I will
Keela.
never forget the feces.
Neither will I. What the fuck was I gonna say? God damn it.
That'd be interesting if memes come out. It's like, yeah, January 6th.
Oh, I remember.
2021. Never forget the feces.
The guy who had his feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk has actually been arrested.
Yeah, they got that crusty fucker. And the weird thing is,
Crusty's a good word to describe it.
he I don't know if it was him, but he might have been. But they think that several of the computer systems were gotten into, so they don't even know the scope of the security breach that they might be dealing with, because essentially the offices were open because they're in joint session. So their own offices are open. Computers might be logged in. Some of these people would wander into the offices and start fucking with the computer. And if they, I don't know what kind of lockout that they have or whatever, but if they were open, they were.
Well, when it showed us with his feet up on the desk, there was a folder on there that clearly somebody had written stuff on. I don't know how many documents they vandalized, but there's at least one there.
Yeah, but there was a smaller story that kind of came out from it as well. That was somebody had taken a photograph of like the screen that was left on, because when they went in, they somebody, I guess, or a team of people just went around and just went literally just drop what the fuck you're doing. Don't even do it and just get the fuck out, because so that. But the point, they took a photo of I don't know, and it was like a screen and stuff, and I'm pretty sure it was like emails and shit like that. That's literally fucking espionage. You could get arrested for that and go to prison for a very long time.
It's like Watergate. Did people forget about Watergate before they stormed in there and started going through desks?
Well, of course. Do you think these people have a good memory of shit?
Their memory only goes back to Whitewater, and that's
that we're there.
Yeah, but their memory stops at Whitewater because that's when Vince Foster was murdered by the Clintons.
I think that we're kind of expecting too much of them, because in order to know about these things, you have to be able to read. So, that's kind of...
That reminds me of the King of the Hill memes, where it puts something up and it's a bunch of Trumpers in the classroom, and the guys turn it on saying, if they could read that, they'd be offended.
What's up, Uhan Roderick?
Wuhan!
Yeah, Juliet said that guy claimed to be a Memphis fireman, but he was arrested in Arkansas. Yeah, the New York Times article that I read when they mentioned him, I was like, oh, he's from Arkansas. Not surprised.
Yeah.
Oh
She
man.
thought she was thinking that it was somebody local to them. They live in like Tennessee. I don't want to give too much away about where they live, but they're in they're in the Smoky Mountains. They're in the city though, so it's not so. I don't know. The cities in Tennessee are pretty nice. I've always enjoyed
Na-
my time in Nashville.
Nashville was nice.
Oh!
That
Oh!
nutter blew it up. Yeah.
So
Oh, there's the wall.
oh my god.
Does that say Honky Kong? That's
Yes.
what
All right.
Oh fuck, that's too fucking funny. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Fucking Ansgar Odinson reshared that. I'm assuming you guys know who that is.
Yeah.
I think that was like that's kind of ironic. It's come full circle. Honky Kong, I think it's like the last.
They do some funny stuff too. Odinson.
I like him. He's a good guy.
Yeah, they got a good YouTube channel if you're not subscribed to it.
Dude, he had fucking Alex Filippenko on his channel when they were doing something for Lana Kirtnell's birthday. That's one of my favorite astronomers. Like him and Sean Carroll are like my two largest, at least living influences. And I'm like, you dirty son of a bitch.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's any more good memes out there.
I just kind of think that, like, as much as we all kind of, as we all kind of said it, as we all thought about it, as we all, whatever, as we all said that, 2020 was a colossally shit year. And it just was. It literally just went from, like, bad to worse to worse. And, I think, and I loved the optimism. I had the optimism as well. I had such optimism going into this year. That like it had to get better than last year. We literally didn't make it a week until the entire fucking
Yeah. 6 days. We made it 6 days. Yeah.
We had 5 days of somewhat normalcy, and then that's it. It just all went to shit.
Yep.
It was insane. Just watching it unfold was insane.
Yes.
I forget.
And the whole time I'm sitting here watching, it's like, why have none of these people been shot?
It was like, oh my god, they're walking towards the building. Oh my god, they're going up on the steps. Oh my god, they're trying to kick the doors in. They kicked the doors in. It was just amazing to see.
I was reminded of a story. This was going on. I think it was around about the time of the Trayvon Martin after his death or whatever. There were protests about that. Was it the Trayvon Martin or Tamir Rice? And there was a town in, I want to say it was in Tennessee or Kentucky, somewhere in the casserole bowl of the U.S. And this local cop, he was like I want to say he was the county sheriff, but he might have just been like the city chief of police. But they were going to have this protest. People had applied for it, and they were going to do it. And all of his cops, his deputies and stuff, they were all pissed off about it, because they're going to do this like racial justice protest. He's like, there's nothing wrong with it. It'll be fine. And so they're like, well, how do you want to respond? He's like, well, it's very simple. When they show up, we're gonna order a bunch of donuts and coffee. We're gonna go there first thing in the morning when they assemble, and we're gonna hand them out to them. And they did. Perfectly peaceful protest. Nothing went wrong. That guy was insulted by conservatives. So, yeah.
I think Parker wants to chime in here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a quiet man, but got many words. So there's a not surprising, all the conservatives who are getting kicked off Twitter and all these other social media platforms are trying to somehow be lawyers and say legally they are allowed to be on that service to say that stuff, and then they'll complain like, well, we don't need to care about the fine print. They're doing false advertising, and I'm like, how does Twitter do false advertisement? I haven't seen like an advertisement for Twitter. It itself is advertisement. Like, explain that.
It's community standards. They can set any kind of criteria they want as long as they aren't hurting anybody. They can set think about like clubs and stuff, that private clubs where you have to wear a certain thing or act a certain way when you're there. You can set any kind of standard for people to come into your private industry or your private company as you want, and on your private platform. You can censor any kind of information that you want, just as long as it's not hurting anyone.
Yep. I got another one for you guys. It's not obviously it's not actually true, but it's funny. Suspended from all social media, Donald Trump is currently ranting about Mitt Romney on an Amazon customer review page for dress socks.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
From fucking Seth Andrews.
I think if there's genuinely one good thing that has kind of happened out of last year, it would be that we found out. Well, at least I found out because I'm a massive fan of him. We found out that Eminem is okay. So to quote lyrics from his song, I can't play it because YouTube's a dick.
So you're gonna rap it?
No, I'm not going to do that either.
I can drop the beat.
Do it.
No, we're not going to do that.
Just wait for that voice. Leo, don't do that. Don't encourage Stephen to do that.
So, the lyrics some of the lyrics in the song now is, and I'm still ride or die for the squad. And so you know which side that I'm on. If a battle line's ever drawn, but if I get involved, it'll be it'll be like canines in a brawl, because even if I don't have a dog in the fight, they ain't never going to get rid of the fight in the dog. And it's just, it's just
squad.
Okay. Genuinely
squad.
If Eminem ever got even vaguely actually involved in politics, I could die happily. It's just not going to get better than that. Could you even just imagine some of the shit that he would? Oh no, it'd just be brilliant. It would just be fantastic.
It would.
I'm a massive Eminem fan, by the way, and I have been for years. I just wanted to kind of put that out there. But anyway,
I kind of wonder. I wonder if he would. I wonder how that would go over.
Because
I kind of wondered if Kanye would be, but then he attempted, and it was just like a, like a dud of a firework, kind of.
I really don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how he would get involved, or if he would actually get involved himself. If he would run, I don't think he would run.
He could endorse someone, though. I mean, he could endorse someone, though. Campaign.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wouldn't be surprised to see that at all. As he gets older, more. I mean, I wasn't when I was younger. I wasn't, but it was a different time back then. These days, you really got to freaking have your fingers in it to keep up with what's going on. Stuff.
You really got to have your fingers in it, don't you? Maybe gyrate them a little bit. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Jesus.
Where's this conversation going?
I don't know. You guys tell me who's gonna take it there.
It took a pretty swift left turn there. I'm not gonna lie.
We only take left turns here. We don't turn to the right. Fuck no.
Well,
if you turn left 3 times, you do.
We only go left because Daddy Mark said so.
Yeah, man.
I don't
Do you guys think that there's a politician out or a celebrity out there kind of aligned with the conservative ideology that actually might be able to maneuver their way into some kind of
Tim Allen?
I hope.
Roseanne.
I hope that's as good as it gets.
Dude, if Roseanne did it, I'd be calling her Rosanna Dana the rest of my life. I know Jeff's gonna get that. Brian might.
Jesus Christ! Yeah, no, Jesus, Roseanne. Yeah. Well, look, it'd be an interesting debate. Anyway, we can kind of say that one. Jesus Christ!
Oh no.
Yeah, it'd be. I don't know. Like
I said, James Woods. I think he could actually rally a following.
I think James Woods would be one of the ones that would be able to do something.
I have a feeling though, at his first like rally, even amongst his supporters, there'd be people there with their kids, and they'd be like shielding the kids as Woods gets more, revved up. They're like, yeah, that man's he'll eat a toddler, he'll do it.
But isn't it the same thing that you would have said about Trump before you saw him take the freaking stage?
Trump wants to eat a toddler, but he doesn't have the ambition or the energy level. But like James Woods, even at his age, is made out of pure Red Bull. So he'll jump off that stage and like dive straight through your kid, cut him in half, and eat the viscera. Yeah,
You know,
he's nuts.
You know who in Hollywood I would have loved to see become president? Adam West.
You mean Adam Wee?
Adam Wee.
I would just love to hear him give like a State of the Union speech. That'd be great.
A Family Guy style State of the Union.
This is going to be
President
the
Chapstick.
This is going to be the year of prosperity for us all.
One of my favorite from him on Family Guy. He's like talking at the window and like somebody throws a brick and hits him in the nose and he goes, "Oh my God, I'm a tomato."
That's the one where he's getting married to one hand and he looks at the other one and "Shut up, you filthy whore."
Yes. The screaming contest when Stewie walks in on, I think it's Peter and Lois having sex, and he starts screaming, and Adam's just like, "So it's a screaming contest you want, is it, Quahog? I'm beating you." He was one of my favorite fucking characters in that show.
It's
He was
the
good.
same sort of thing, and he's like, "I'm going to get all the A's out of my body."
Jesus.
Or the one where they get superpowers and he runs to the same toxic waste dump, rolls in it, and then he goes to his doctor. He's like, "So what superpower do I have?" Doctor's leukemia.
Or when he erects the statue of the one guy from the Serio, the Sugar Smacks guy or whatever his name is.
Dig 'em.
He's just sitting there, smack, smack, sugar, smack. Give me a smack, and I'll smack you back.
That was the commercial. Are you young? Are you old enough to remember that, Leo? Do you remember the Sugar Smacks frog?
Yeah, very, very vaguely.
I remember him. I remember that cereal actually. There was a brief time. There was a controversy. It was right around probably because of like NutraSweet and stuff was coming out. I'm a child of the '80s, and they're like, "Sugar Smacks, dangerous for your kids?" And I was like, "Yeah, it fucking is. It's just air puffed wheat and a ton of sugar glaze on it. It was delicious. It made your milk taste like syrup. It was fantastic.
Made your pee smell like syrup.
It did kind of, yeah. It was one of those things that like coffee and asparagus. Once you ate those, you knew like 30 minutes later, like, oh, that's what I had for breakfast.
Literally. Like me when I eat waffles and 30 minutes later I got to take a shit.
Yeah.
With waffles?
Don't ask me why. I think it's like the peanut butter and the syrup that I put on them. It's probably what it is.
Peanut butter on a waffle.
The nut butter of the peas. And Julie LeVoice has it right. Yeah, the Rosanna Dana done by Gilda Radner.
Kayla's like, and since we've descended into the Family Guy portion of the conversation, I think it's a safe time to sign off and sleep. Yeah, it probably is. Because at this point, I think the conversation is going to get a little more blue.
No. Parker's here, and I'm here, and Brian is here, and Steven is here. It's going to get red.
My veins may look blue, but when I bleed, it's red.
It's red.
Well, to be fair, when I bleed, it's green. Because
To be fair,
nobody else jumped in on that one. Well, he supports the Green Party, I'm assuming. A Green Party. Well, I think maybe it's play on the fact that he's Irish.
yeah,
have any of you guys looked at?
Green?
Yeah. Have any of you guys looked at Biden's climate stuff?
I don't think it goes very far.
No. I was just wondering if anybody else.
I know it really pissed Manda off. She's like, "This is bullshit. What the fuck?"
I mean, it seems like the ambition behind it was just be better than Trump. That's all.
And that's all this is.
They're wanting to raise the bar, like just better than what they did.
Doesn't that mean you just stop paying that guy to pour mercury directly into the river?
Yeah, it's like you want us to stop and encroaching on national parks and stuff for oil. Okay, I guess we'll do that, and that's We need to go like green, like, and we need to go hard green. We need to, because the people in America have this image of the Chinese as this big threat. Well, the Chinese are developing this green energy industry that's like huge, and
You want to know how Americans look at the Chinese? If anybody remembers the episode of South Park, where Cartman's dreaming about the opening to the I think it was the '08 Olympics, because they were in Beijing, and it's the Chinese just like banging on their drums with a fancy light show, and he's like, no, rolling in his bed, no, the Chinese, they're coming here. That's Americans. That was mainly American conservatives. That's how they look at the Chinese.
but.
They're all Paula White. They're coming here. They're coming here. They're
You
coming.
think the capitalists- you
It'd be
think
more
that
like Hong Kong, 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 Kong. That was mean.
You think that the capitalist people would be all for beating China on this new industry to manufacture for green energy? You think that they would, but they don't. They're just like, oh, we're going to stick to this old dying industry, and you all go ahead and get years and years ahead of us in this industry so that we're dependent on you when our resources get so.
I have an indecent question to ask. When a Chinese evangelical prays in tongues, what do they sound like?
Oh,
I want to know.
God,
I have a
no.
question for you. This just kind of popped up on my Twitter feed.
Twitter feed.
I don't know if you guys have seen or heard about this, but there were Trump supporters who reenacted George Floyd's death on Wednesday. It was on
but they're not racist. This isn't about race. No, I mean, we just reenacted a black man literally being unjustifiably murdered by the police, but we're not racist.
Lynched. He was basically lynched. I
mean,
were they in the rally, or were they with the same crowd that was going towards the Capitol?
I
think they were. I think.
I'm not sure, if I'm being honest with you.
Because I just think it would be interesting, like, if that, they're like, well, not all of them went to the Capitol. Like, some of them stayed behind and did cosplay of the George Floyd killing.
Yeah,
that's what they did instead of breaking into the like.
Oh, it's me. Hi.
Just give me a second there. I've pulled up the. Oh dear God. Okay, there.
Oh, we got Inception. Oh my God.
I am infinite.
Jesus.
For a minute, I thought this looked. Jesus, what the?
Is it on the steps to the Capitol that they're doing that?
Why are they still doing that? I mean, that was cringeworthy the first attempt. Oh my God! It's like, what? Do you think you're being edgy? You're just being dumb.
Racist. You're just being really, really racist.
That too. But if you're gonna be racist, be clever about it.
Yeah, I mean, like,
sorry.
Look, there. Okay, there's a lot of. As soon as Wednesday happened, I had a lot of reactions, as we all kind of did, but I had one kind of different reaction. I engage with an awful lot of right-leaning people, and to a certain extent, as I'm sure we all kind of can. We
can I ask a quick question? Are they all trad cats?
Probably.
Not surprising.
I can understand to a certain degree, like where they're coming from, or like this. Not like obviously I don't agree, but I can see where they're. I'm just done now. I'm just like I had the one kind of jab that I used to kind of throw out a few times, and I've said it on stream. I'm pretty sure I've said it on Matt Big stream as well. If you're a Republican, you might not be racist, but you're okay with racism because the people that you vote for are either racist or vote on racist, policies or on those lines.
Do you guys
engage another person who is on the right? I'm sorry, but the gloves are off. Like, there's just no point anymore. Like, if this is the fucking extent that you're going to go to, that you're going to try and overturn the most fucking like arguably the most verified election, because there was states who did the initial counts, and then they had recounts, and then they had a second recount. So like we
How
know
many judges have looked at their appeals and said no, this is bullshit.
Yes,
We're not.
exactly.
We're not.
There was 20 fucking court cases, and all of them went in Biden's favor, bar one. So like all of this shit is fucking verified, and it's just.
But that fucking oxygen thief, Jesus is Lord, did a premiere earlier tonight, and on it, he's basically just playing a clip from Mark Levin's show from Fox News, and Mark Levin's arguing this dumb shit about how the election was stolen, they violated the Constitution. He's got like a little leather-bound copy of the Constitution, and I'm like, which Constitution did he violate, you dumb motherfucker? There's 51 of them at least in this country. There's all the state ones, and there's the federal one. And Act 77 in Pennsylvania was voted on by a majority of Republican politicians in that state a year beforehand. Now their guy doesn't win, and all of a sudden it's unconstitutional. Bullshit. That was the reason those cases didn't get anywhere.
Wait, does Maine have two constitutions, though? Because I know they have 2 districts.
No, I think it's part of their constitution that they can divide their districts the way they do. Yeah.
Do you guys know who Stone Toss Comics is?
No, but
Why
I'm
does
guessing
that sound really familiar?
I'm guessing his removal from Twitter is a sign of progress.
Oh, it is so much.
Rush Limbaugh's account is gone too. Team Trump is gone. Like I guess they're just cracking the fuck down on these conservative dumb fucks who have been pushing misinformation, disinformation, and straight up conspiratorial propaganda for the last 4 fucking years.
Hang on, I'm not saying that I'm not like fully engaged, but I've got some videos from some enemies to flag. So I'll be here in spirit. But.
So there's Stone Toss Comics. He writes like some pretty stupid conservative, racist.
There's lots of anti-Semitic ones. I've seen.
Oh yeah, there's a significant amount of anti-Semitic ones. Like, it's really weird. If you look him up and go to images, you should see some of his comics.
It's like, I don't know. It's like edgelord dog whistle kind of stuff, but he's like definitely mask off. I'd say it's mask off.
Yeah, it's definitely mask off. Like, the art style is really simplistic. Like, if you see one of his comics, you've probably seen it as like a meme format, or like, I don't know if it was the one where it's like, you live in a society, why are you criticizing it? I think maybe he wrote that one too. I forget.
Yeah, Michael Flynn's Twitter account is gone. Sidney Powell's Twitter account is gone. A lot of people that were close to the president, that were high-profile supporters, that were promoting the QAnon conspiracy theory, they're all gone.
Aren't a lot of people of his administration dropping out too? Who all have resigned?
Oh fuck!
Are they people in his cabinet or just people?
I think so. I think a couple in his cabinet have resigned.
In his administration, or
I just want to see Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley go to jail. That's
all. People have been bailing since November. I mean,
yeah, because they knew once he lost, it's done.
A lot of the intelligence people.
He still has Ted Cruz still has his account, which is surprising.
Yeah, that is actually kind of surprising.
Let's see.
I wonder if Tom Cotton does. Probably.
Well, I mean, if Ted's Twitter is still there, I mean, that's just one of the benefits of being the Zodiac killer. So
what's the deal? Not to criticize since we're streaming on it, but what's the deal with YouTube? Is YouTube doing anything about some of these sites?
I don't know. I know that they shut down Caitlin Bennett a couple weeks ago, I think.
Let's look up his YouTube channel.
I don't think that they shut her down. I think that she.
Well, not like, yeah, but that was because they were like putting restrictions and strikes on her account and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
I haven't watched any of the stuff, but what happened with her in the Capitol stuff? I know she had something to going on during that time. Did she just cover it?
I think that she was just like tweeting about, how much she fucking loves not wanting to live in a democracy. Because like, if you see Liberty Hangouts tweets, like they're not even like, they're explicitly fascist. Like straightforwardly fascist.
Like
That-
Liberty was the Liberty Hangout ones?
Yeah, like get
That's
rid of
her-
democracy, implement Trump as a dictator, and theocratic
opinion.
fascism. But they're libertarians.
That's why I don't like using the word libertarian to describe myself. It's
I'm-
because of
I
people
call
like
them ANCAPs because that's
Yeah,
what they
they're
are. They're
an-
fucking ANCAPs.
Say,
But
I
simple.
consider myself pretty libertarian.
I am. I'm a libertarian socialist because I
Yeah.
mean libertarian and what the term actually means, not the perverted Americanist version of it.
Yeah.
Well, Americans have weird definitions for like socialism and capitalism. It's like it's this generational thing. Anybody who's older than a millennial in the United States was taught this very perverse version of what socialism and capitalism and how those two are dynamic and
Mhm.
almost like a notion that they couldn't work together at all. And they absolutely have to work together. They regulate each other. You got to balance that out, or your system's not going to work.
Donald
this.
Trump still has a YouTube channel.
I'm not surprised. What was I? Oh yeah, most Americans, especially the conservatives, think that socialism is when the government does stuff, and the more stuff it does, the more socialister it is.
Yeah, capitalism is the part where everybody makes money, and socialism is the part where we have to spend a bunch of money to help poor people not fall behind. That's basically how Americans think. It's like that is not either of those things.
There's
It's not
so
just
much
poor
more-
people; it's lazy bums. That's what it is.
Well, but even unfortunately, there are a lot of like left wingers who kind of think of capitalism, socialism in those terms.
Mhm.
Caitlin Bennett destroys George Floyd narrative. That's one of the videos. I don't doubt that.
Well, in a sense, she would destroy it. Yeah.
Caitlin Poopy Pants Bennett. Does everybody know about that story? She literally shit her pants at a party.
Everybody knows about that, Leo. Everybody.
It's like the Flula thing that she poops at parties. She's a party pooper.
Yep. Caitlin party pooper.
I just don't know because I mean, like, there have been some Liberty Hangout videos on YouTube where like Caitlin is like going around and she's like talking to all these people, and there are some of them every kind of now and again who will recognize her and who will say, like, hey, aren't you Caitlin Bennett? And she'll be like, yeah. And like in the videos, they'll either kind of say something like, oh, okay, well, I don't want to talk to you then, or they'll just walk away. Like, how have any of okay, if I was in that situation and I realized that Caitlin Bennett was talking to me, like live or like whatever, in front of her fucking cameraman, they probably wouldn't show up on the video, but I just want to do it anyway. If she said, yes, I am Caitlin Bennett, I'd be like, ha, you shit your pants in Kent State. Like, there's no way that I could say anything
No. I
else.
would have pulled out my phone and be like, "You mind if I record this for just for my own YouTube channel? I mean, you're Caitlin Bennett." She'd probably be like, "Yeah, cool." And I'd record it. Be like, "So you actually are Caitlin Bennett? Yeah. You shit your pants, poopy pants."
Why did she poop her pants? I don't know about this.
I don't really know why.
I think she was allegedly. I don't know if there's any kind of confirmation, so it's allegedly. I don't.
There was confirmation from like a bunch of people that were like at the
party.
was a party in Kent State, and I don't know, like, was there like drug or alcohol? She was trash drunk apparently.
She was trash drunk. Yeah, thanks, Julie.
Chat just said, and she just shit her pants. And it was
oh my god, guys! Oh my god, who did that?
So she did an emo wolf, but in real life.
I just want to kind of say, like, there's a lot of stereotypes out there, and some of them are kind of offensive, and the others, such as the one about Irish people, is just unfortunately true. We are just a nation of drunks. Like, and I have been like extraordinarily drunk
So have
in
I.
my life. I have been so drunk that like I can't, like, I have been so drunk that my mind has started to delete memories of when I was sober. Like, if I start drinking at 7, I can get so drunk that I can't remember what I did at like 6. But I've never gotten to the point where I've been so drunk that I've shit myself. Like, I just no. Like, why? How does that happen?
That must be the Irish in me then, because that's I mean, as drunk as I can get, and I have been. It's always memory issues or sleeping in a chair. I've never pooped myself.
Jeff, I have a
woken up
question.
From
Yeah.
some crazy places, but
Do you remember going into Praise's stream a little tipsy like a week or two ago?
Vaguely.
Your brother was talking about, and he said, he's drunk because you brought out the word. I think it was pal. Like somebody went on to say something, and you're just saying, whoa, hold on here, pal.
Yeah, no.
I started laughing. You were cogent though. I mean, you were making points.
I mean, I remember it. He and Jay was like, well, I was winding you up, and I was like, yeah, I knew you were winding me up, but it's what I wanted. So I knew I was going to go in there, and he's like, yeah, you weren't in there for very long, and I'm pretty sure I can't remember who kicked me. I know somebody kicked me because somebody always kicks me. It's Praise's channel.
Hey, Jeff, were you in there when Darth Dawkins came on Knox stream to talk to John?
Yeah, I believe you were.
I was there. Yeah,
I was
there.
Yeah, Stephen was there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I was at work, but I was listening to that.
I didn't get it
when John said, "Listen, dude." That was classic. That was like,
yeah. I think my pal is John's dude. But yeah, I guess I never used that on anyone. And yeah, my brother was like, the only time that we'd ever heard that word is from our dad. It's getting sarcastic.
no.
And I was like, oh shit.
So you're quoting your dad when you do that? You're like, listen,
yeah, I was like
pal.
trying to chat. I'm like, look, pal. I should have called him a lion, dog-faced pony soldier. But I did.
Clap for that, you stupid bastards. I'm sorry. There's times I'll still go back to watch that. I just die. It's the way he says it. Just pause and clap for that, you stupid bastards.
If you're talking to somebody and you can kind of get that they're not really they see you can just look at them and say, listen, fat. That's my favorite Biden gaffe, where he literally turned to somebody and says, listen, fat. Like, listen here, fat.
Biden is a meme in and of himself.
He didn't say you're fat. He just said like 2 words. Listen, fat. Like, it's just like, that's it.
Do you all remember the Biden memes from 2016 or leading up to the election? The Biden memes of him talking to Obama, where he would always be saying like crazy shit, like he was gonna leave weird messages and stuff.
Yeah, it's like, Joe, no.
Yeah,
and it's got Obama sitting there like
there was a guy that I can't remember. I don't know if he's part of like the Chapo Trap House group or whatever, but he does a pretty mean impersonation of Joe Biden, and he was talking about, like, it was during the primaries, and they're pulling for Bernie. And he's like, yeah, you're not going to get Bernie Sanders. You're going to get Papa Fall Down. Joe Biden, 2020.
Papa Fall Down.
And he's like, you're a lion, dog-faced pony fuck, and you're all going to get culled. There's going to be a great big national cull. Yeah, it was. The
one I loved is
insane. It's a good imitation.
When he challenged the one guy to go out and run laps.
Yeah, the guy that he got into at the factory or whatever. Even his aides are like trying to pull him off, and he's like, no, we're gonna have it out right here. I'm like, oh shit, Joe's triggered.
Fucking Joe.
What did he? I don't remember if he said it or if he tweeted it, but he's like talking about Trump. He's like, a guys like this back in my day, we'd take him out in the back alley and beat the crap out of him or whatever. It's like, all right, dude, okay.
Do you guys remember those ads that were being done by Richard Linklater, the director? They were being done for Beto O'Rourke. They were basically attack ads against Ted Cruz. They featured this, I can't remember his name, Teddy Lind, I think is his name. He's a Texas actor. He's like in a diner or whatever, and he always said this catchphrase, "Come on, Ted." You guys see those?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
All right, I'm gonna post a link to one of them because they Jesus, they were good. If you don't know who Richard Linklater is, he did Before Sunrise, After Sunset, Dazed and Confused.
So this is a little bit back to what we were talking about on YouTube. I was on Praise's channel last night, and Jay witnessed this. But there's this guy named Jason. He's from Tasmania. He's Gavin. He's literally just Gavin, and at some point I just called Jason because he was like so stupid loud. I called him the cancer on Gavin's butt, and then the whole room went silent. Praise is laughing, and then Will's like kicked me off, and then I just kept joining back and back and back and back until I got banned. I've never been banned from a stream, and then Kevin's like, "I want you to apologize," and I'm like, "No, it's true." And the moment Jason left, I said, "Oh, did Gavin clean his butt?"
Gavin clean his butt. Well, trolling him is fun, especially Gavin. Gavin is just fun as fuck to troll.
I try to talk to Gavin and like when I watch the debate and he's in the live chat and stuff, I'll try to engage with him about stuff. Like he was quoting, he's like, "Oh look, the University of Psychology recognizes the existence of the soul," and I'm like, the University of Psychology recognizes Native American what was it, some kind of sleepwalking or whatever, dream walking, because there's the same kind of article he was quoting for to say that, oh yeah, the doctors say that the soul is real. The same article said that this supernatural experience that's specific to Native Americans is real. It's recognizing their culture.
Mm-hmm. The one thing that I love was when me and Speed debated him and Praise. Praise carried that entire debate. I don't know who here has and hasn't seen it yet, but I had mentioned it's called the Pontine Tegmentum. The paper that I was reading from, it said the rostral dorsolateral Pontine Tegmentum. And this is published in neurology.org, like the world's foremost neurology journal. And he said it wasn't a real thing, and so Speed looks it up on Wikipedia and screen shares it, and he bitches at Speed for pulling up a Wikipedia article. But we kept, because he said I'm a professional, we kept asking him to give his credentials, and he said, well, look in the description of the video. So I did, and guess what website he cited from one of his sources? A Wikipedia article. Oh my god, it was so fucking funny.
I don't know if you'd ever heard about this. My brother found out about it afterward. He challenged me to a debate over last summer because I kept making comments about authorship of Pauline epistles, right? And that was just triggering him. And finally, said, "I'm calling you out, Spitchcook." And I was like, "All right, fine, let's go." Spitchcook. The Kiwi accent is both adorable and also slightly irritating.
Yeah.
So he calls me out, and I'm like, "Fine, we'll do
nothing
this."
burger.
It's a nothing burger, Spitchcook. You leftist. So he calls me out a bunch of times, and then he's like, "All right." So he wrangles Richard Mattson into this, and I was kind of surprised. Richard didn't want to do it. Richard's like, "I don't care about this topic," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know you don't," because his version of the Bible in his head is more colorful than Dune. You know, if you were to read Dune on acid, I mean, that's basically what Richard's got going on. So he doesn't give a shit. So I'm like, okay, we'll get into this a little bit. So we go and we do this whole thing, and he lays out his credentials. And Richard was like, "No, I want you guys to cite your sources. I want you to send them to me. I will send them to each other. You guys will both see them, and then I'll post them in the description for the, right at the beginning." Fair enough, right? So I've got my 10. Gavin comes in with 30 some, 20 to 30 some, right? And I'm looking at these, and some of them are from the mid 60s. And I was like, where did he get this obscure shit? So I'm thinking he got this from One Way, because One Way's got a bunch of crazy different sources.
Who is One Way?
One Way is a friend of Praise's. And I know he's talked to Gavin before, but I don't think that One Way and Gavin always get along, especially not now, but I think they used to. But anyway, so I wasn't sure where these came from. My brother goes and finds out that he went and got all of these, one of the sources is this weird guy's blog post. Gavin went to this guy's blog post on that particular topic, scrolled to the bottom of the list, took all of his references, and copied them verbatim as his own.
Jesus Christ. That doesn't surprise me, though. I have to be honest, not that I want to talk about him too much, but I have noticed Gavin is not an intelligent man.
No.
And I don't say that about a lot of people. I really don't. He's not an intelligent man.
Yeah, and Jared says, "I think the Kiwi accent is slightly annoying to us because Ray Comfort ruined it for us." Yeah. Plus, I don't like the way he says my name, because spatchcock is kind of a stupid word. It's a silly word, but it's also kind of ostentatious. And I knew that, hey, anybody that wants to insult me is going to have to say spatchcock and then try to change it. So when Smokey says spatchcock, it's You know that sounds slightly less dirty now, right?
He says
Like,
spatchcook.
spatchcock.
Cuck,
C-U-C-K.
yeah,
like
yeah,
spatchcock. I'm
spatchcock,
like,
yeah.
oh yeah, like yeah, you made it better.
He's not good at insulting. He's terrible.
So I hope
Absolutely horrendous.
I hope he doesn't hear this, but like the one that actually starts to get to me is when Gavin goes, Spitchcook twins. He starts doing that shit. It's like, cool your jets there. Him and Jason Ezzard. I was going to ask Stephen about this. Have you talked to that guy?
Jason. Yes.
I think he wants to play this.
Are we going to watch this?
What are we watching?
Come on.
This was from Fire Ted Cruz.
Somebody left something on my door the other day. It's Ted Cruz, toughest Texas. I mean, come on. Somebody called my wife a dog because my daddy was in on the Kennedy assassination. I wouldn't be kissing their ass. You stick a finger in their chest and give them a few choice words. Or you drag their ass out by the woodshed and kick their ass, Ted. Come on. Ted.
Come on, Ted.
Candidate or candidates committee.
Sorry, I love that old dude. If you ever get a chance to see Bernie, I think that's the name of it, with Shirley MacLaine and Jack Black. It's based on a true story out of Texas, east side of Texas, about a guy who's like becomes like a town mortuary. He's like the funeral director, and he ends up living with Shirley MacLaine's character, and they have this weird kind of like codependent relationship, and he ends up murdering her. This is a true crime story. Matthew McConaughey's in the movie too. That guy is in it, and he's featured. The movie's done like a normal narrative, but there's like some faux documentary elements in it, and that guy kind of gives like a roadmap or like he gives a general description of the regions of Texas, and the way he does it is just it's perfect.
So were those like actually aired in Texas?
Yeah, down in Texas. Yeah, during when O'Rourke was running against him for Senate. Yeah, Linklater got involved. So I think
he tried to run for president.
Yeah, he probably overextended himself there, but
yeah,
he used it as an endorsement for Biden, and yeah, between that and Buttigieg and who was it? Klobuchar.
Yeah,
managed to derail Sanders pretty good. So.
Yeah, well, I have a feeling that Obama had a hand in that.
He did, because he called Pete Buttigieg and somebody that used to work for him, called Beto.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
and it's fuck the Democrats. And now that they actually have the trifecta,
just real quick.
What's up?
I just want to share this just really quick. It should pop up now in a second. This is what Caitlin Bennett just tweeted.
Well, yeah, he's a lame duck. Of course he has no fucking power. Most of his power was through Twitter anyway. She's so fucking... She is such a fucking brain worm infested fucking troglodyte. Like, I swear to God.
Wow.
I love this guy. Look at this guy. Your fan is next to get it out now. Shout out to whoever the fuck that is, but that's a brilliant tweet. That's a brilliant tweet. I love that.
That is a person who is they're very they're very in the moment and enjoying themselves completely. Like laugh it up, shit pants.
Oh fuck. What was I going? Oh yeah, that's why I'm glad that the Democrats have the trifecta now, so that when they fail to get anything done by 2022 and 2024, they can't pull the Republicans obstructed us the whole time. We can say no, y'all are just fucking worthless and don't get anything done. Let's vote for a real leftist.
Hopefully.
I'm curious who's going to run as a leftist in 2024, because let's be honest, but Biden ain't going to make it 2 terms. Even if he does run for re-election, he won't win.
Yeah, there's no way Biden's gonna do that, or I don't think he can handle that. Like, he's like we said earlier, like without COVID, he wouldn't be president. And during his presidency for the next 4 years, I don't think he's gonna do some crap, but like it's not gonna be.
It's not gonna be substantive.
If a president resigns after their first term, does it trigger a primary?
No.
Or does the vice presidential candidate run instead as an incumbent?
That's
I don't know.
Wait,
that.
Oh, are you asking
Well-
like during a re-election? Yeah. The vice president would run as candidate. If let's
So you
say
mean if
during
an
the-
incumbent is running for re-election but then like pulls out and resigns?
You're right. Yeah, but I'm wondering what the cutoff is because there has to be a certain amount. I think there's a certain amount of time. If Biden resigned and then Kamala Harris took over for him for the last X amount of days or weeks of his first term, then I don't know. I don't know what the minimum amount of time is required for her to count as an incumbent, or if there isn't enough time, it triggers a primary for the Democrats.
it doesn't trigger a primary. I think it just the latter happens, and I think the vice president gets rechosen. It should because it doesn't like work like a like if you pull water out of like a Walmart, like the next gallon of water comes down. They would put someone else's like it. What the frick are you doing, Leo? Freaking Leo!
Leo, like we're live right now.
Your
you
mic
are
is
aware
right
of
there.
I'm sorry. Oh, fuck, that was
If you
hilarious.
Yeah, that.
Oh my god!
Okay, that girl in that video, the girl that's crying.
Did you guys actually hear that? Hold on.
Well, no,
Hold on.
I've seen it a couple of
Hold on.
times.
Hold on.
Stop! No.
They pushed me on and maced me.
Wait, what did you say? She put.
Okay, hold on. Let me share it so I can retweet it so that I can go on Twitter on my laptop and share screen. It's fucking...
But somebody's been saying that she didn't get maced. Instead, she had like
Yeah, she had an onion and was rubbing an onion
and,
on
was,
her face.
and running out of her face so that she would cry. Yeah.
So that whole issue, like onions have been used to counter that. So I don't know if it's like she actually did or she just doing it. Like we don't really know. But
people think the onions counter tear gas.
Yeah,
that's interesting. I've never heard that before.
Let me know when we're ready to share.
You know what's really funny when cops start pouring water down the rioters' eyes to help them, but like they destroy the water bottles at BLM.
Yeah.
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 Are we ready?
Sure. Why not?
Steven's given up.
You didn't share the audio.
Yeah, I didn't share the audio.
You dumb fool.
I did share the audio.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. I made sure specifically to check the button.
Well, I can't hear it.
Well, I don't know what the fuck to say.
No audio.
I guess it doesn't work when you have headphones in.
Let me try.
Wait a sec. I'm going to share this first. We had bad news. Trump is still on MySpace.
Oh my god.
We had bad news, you know.
What's his page like?
I'm not clicking.
I don't even think I want to know.
It's just like, have you guys seen that meme of like this one girl, like her parents kept taking away all her devices, so she starts tweeting from like a Samsung fridge. This is what Trump's doing. He's just trying to.
This is pretty funny. There's a video that was posted. This is from the Coping MAGA Twitter feed. It's from Rudy Giuliani's Common Sense, and he is citing Nick Fuentes in a statement.
You should take a pause when you get to my pin tweet because that's glorious and everybody should appreciate it.
Wouldn't it just be hilarious if I didn't share the fucking screen? I'm gonna try to get or the audio even. Hang on there now. I actually didn't the first time around. Is that freaking out for anybody else or is that just me?
Yeah, it's freaking out.
Stop.
Oh god.
I heard audio there.
Yeah. This is funny though.
Totally insane. They pushed me on and maced me.
All right, okay. I have to give it to you. That was actually kind of funny.
There's a longer.
Mace me.
they've got a longer cut. It's almost a full minute of different ones where they just keep building and building.
It's so weird how it seems like she wants people to be sympathetic for her. It's like You were breaking into
Well,
the
yeah,
Capitol
yeah,
to overthrow our government.
That's
Yeah.
the thing. She's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe they maced me. I can't believe they did this. All I was trying to do was just illegally enter a government building." It's like, fuck off. You know what I mean? Seriously, like.
Yeah, it's and somebody asked her, wait, why are you doing that? Well, it's a revolution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Revolution. You know what I'm really looking forward to? He's going to be gone, and I'm really hoping that Biden gets rid of those gold curtains. Because
hope so, too.
Yes.
with the
Didn't
gold curtains after the fake dossier or whatever and the piss tapes, I couldn't stop. Oh, that's all I could think of when I saw those golden curtains was golden showers.
I can only think of the JFK, like what Kennedy's wife did with the garden. Like it's just destroyed now in the White House. It's sad.
Do you guys remember when a Republican? This was weird. It was right after Clinton. Clinton had been in there. They had changed out like a bunch of the cafeterias and stuff. So they stopped using styrofoam. They started using these like more biodegradable servingware and stuff like that. And when George W. Bush got in there, a bunch of Republicans wanted that switched around, so they brought back like the nastiest styrofoam containers they could get. You know, the stuff that lasts for like a million years, and the cheapest of plastic forks and spoons, just to do it because to trigger the libs. Yeah, it was old school triggering the libs. Yeah,
Jerry, you're great. I love that. That was.
It seems to me that's all conservatives care about. They don't even care about policy. They just want to own the libs.
You know.
Destroy
democracy to own libs.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Parker.
Not to kind of like cut it short, and I'm not going to end it like right now, but it is literally 4:00 in the morning right now. So I think I should probably, at least in the next couple
wrap it up.
Wrap it up. So yeah, if you do like, I don't know, do it like final thoughts. I don't fucking know. I'm not used to.
I'm really nervous if Keel is correct, and we got to worry about these yabos planning something for the 17th and the 20th.
Yeah,
the 20th I wasn't surprised about. In fact, I kind of predicted that the last time I was on Critical Cripples when she was on, and I was like, yeah, I kind of suspect if they're going this nuts now on the 6th, the 20th is going to get weird. But I was curious that she had mentioned that other date, and I was like, what's the significance of like 3 days before that? I don't know what they do. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, I don't know that there is anything of like major significance 3 days before the next president is.
Yeah,
they're just really bad at planning things. Let's be honest.
Did you guys hear that the guy that started the Stop the Steal hashtag, he had like sent out a big tweet to a bunch of people saying, hey, go to DC, show up with a tent, don't wear a mask. Don't just crazy shit.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
Julie makes a good point, but I'm gonna let Mr. Parker go because he's been trying to chime in.
Yeah, I was gonna mention something earlier, but the the Capitol like police department head guy said yesterday, he's like, we had no prior intelligence that they were going to do this. And I'm like, bull crap. They printed off sweatshirts with this crap on. They had time to do that. You could have known this. And this isn't like the freaking CIA doing the investigation. It's the Capitol Police.
Just like, why don't you check with some of your subordinates, because they're probably on some of those lists, man. Like they're following and DMing some of these people.
I saw a video on Twitter responding to the FBI asking for information on the rioters, and the clip was from Boondocks, I think it's called, like the black anime or whatever.
Yeah,
Boondocks,
like, that's a damn good show.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. That was funny.
He's like, is it wrong? Is it wrong to snitch to police about the police? And I'm like, oh no.
These are questions black people ask themselves, because that's kind of what we, which I shouldn't say. I'm not black, I'm mixed, but to the whites, it doesn't matter how much black I got in me, because even if you're only part black, and I don't know if anybody else has ever noticed this, I have, because I am part black, but I'm more white than I am black. that the minute you have any black in you, you're black. You're not mixed. You're just black.
I'm
It's
really
weird.
white. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm really white, so I don't.
You kind of look like a purple and green combo to me, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because I'm in no shape to be on camera. I have to do my hair.
I would say that, but I have no hair to do. So
I do.
Mine's going away, but I'm enjoying it while I have it.
I still have
I've
some
got hair. I've got quite a bit of hair.
Oh my god. I need to look at Social Blade. Oh my god. Do you know what
is that?
Social Blade is?
I've heard of that. Yeah.
So it's like it uses like it can keeps track of all like social media platforms basically, and like the followers, the following, tweets, likes, and all that kind of information. Now, of course, you can get more data if you get the premium version, but like the free version's pretty good. I wonder. Let's look at Ted Cruz. Let's see what Ted Cruz is doing so far on Twitter. It's probably not doing so well.
What was I? Oh,
He's probably blaming Antifa.
No, he hasn't tweeted in like 4 hours.
That's fairly interesting. Is he?
Maybe he's like trying to not get sniped by Twitter.
Mark Hamill is dragging Trump pretty hard. He's just like posting shots of like his empty profile photo and asking how his day is.
Mark Hamill's been riding Trump for 4 years.
He fucking hates him. Like,
oh yeah.
Did you hear the Trump tweets or Joker quotes thing that he did, where he'd read Trump tweets in the Joker's voice and you had to guess?
Yeah.
Yep.
It was pretty good.
There was somebody else did that with, they said, was this somebody in Game of Thrones that said this, or was it Donald Trump?
I think that's when they had Josh Brolin read some tweets as Thanos. They had somebody had Andy Serkis read Trump tweets as Gollum.
There's a Twitter account of that. Yeah, I follow it. I don't remember what the name is. Sometimes they pop up in there and they're funny. But didn't somebody do Stewie Griffin in?
Well, that would be Seth. That would be Seth MacFarlane if he did do it. I don't know if he did, but
yeah,
I feel like he did.
Yeah,
like the megalomaniac stuff. Because when it came to like doing like speeches about war and stuff, Trump was terrible. He's like, "Oh, I got my button on the nukes here, so you're gonna do what I say," and like mob bosses in other countries. It's like, that's not the way it works, man.
Yeah.
We should start shutting this down because I'm actually hungry. I want to go eat. And I'm sure
I need to go do stuff. I
actually need to run some stuff over to my folks' place now that the my weed drink has worn off. So I think, even though I couldn't get that out clearly, so maybe it hasn't. Maybe I'll just go to bed. So.
I was just going to say, yeah, I am partially asleep. So there's like about 10
2.5 hours. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, to be fair. So
well, thanks, Stephen, for having me on.
Steven just froze. Oh my god. Uh-oh.
Oh,
that's his computer's tired too.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's back.
Yeah. My internet is very tired as well. What was I gonna? Yeah. So on that note, oh god, I have a stream scheduled for tomorrow. I actually might have to fucking push that back a day because I'm. Anyway, thank you so much for everybody who turned up. Thank you to everybody who's been in the chat, who's been keeping the conversation going.
Yeah, we had like a steady 12 people or so the whole time we've been.
Well, yeah.
It's because of you, Brainbug. It's because of you.
So look, absolutely thank you to everybody else. I enjoyed this so much more than I did the other one, and my laptop actually didn't crash, not once but twice. So happy days.
But it did nod off just now. We saw it.
It did nod off. There. Yes.
It's been going 2.5 hours or over 2.5 hours now. So yeah.
Anyway.
Alrighty, everybody.
Yeah. Until the next time, we'll talk to you all then.
Yep. Remember, everybody, if this